the Speedway with swagger.
One of the fastest tracks we come to.
This is the place where fists have flown, faces have been bloody.
You left a hole, man, and he closed it.
I left a hole. You are the no goodness motherfucker I've ever met.
If you gotta have a breakthrough, what a way to do it.
Junior will lay claim to his first NASCAR Cup victory.
The most dramatic finish ever at Texas.
This is about like the Alamo, and I don't know who's going to win. Got a good race car, a good engine, and boy, drove a good race.
Damn, it's good to be in victory lane here in Texas.
Emotions are high. It's a NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Texas Motor Speedway. The Autotrader, EchoPark, Automotive 500. Let's go to pit road and Parker.
Well, Rick, Brad Keselowski comes into this race at Texas 8 points above the cut line. So how do you race in that position at a trickery and treacherous and fast Texas Motor Speedway? Well, talking to his crew chief, Jerry Bowens, it means getting points early, scoring them in stage 1, scoring them in stage 2. So if it gets crazy at the end, you have a little something to bank on, Kelly.
In spite of a third-place result last week, Alex Bowman still has 27 points to overcome if he's going to get to the championship 4. And for Alex, the job is pretty simple. He said they have got to win, but he admits that this track has been a little bit hit or miss for them. His crew chief, Greg Ives, told me they've enjoyed the underdog role they've assumed here in the playoffs, and they want to continue to prove people wrong. Alex Bowman starts 5th, Dave.
Kelly, Martin Truex Jr.'s playoffs haven't gone exactly as planned. They came into Texas this morning 31 points below the cut line. But before things ever get started here, they're another 20 points in arrears. That's because in NASCAR inspection this morning, their rear spoiler did not pass muster. The rule book says that it has to be as supplied by the manufacturer. There was something there that NASCAR didn't like. The team told me they had everything on the truck to repair it. And Rick, they're going to start at the back of the field today. But Martin Truex has done that before. He's won for the rear last year at Dover.
And he's definitely been good on mile-and-a-half racetracks, so we expect greatness out of the driver of the 19. It's time to fire the engines. Let's go trackside now for the command.
Here to get the command to start engines, please welcome father of the 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, Gary Johnson.
All right, Texas, you ready to go racing? Okay, help me. Drivers, start your engines!
And you saw the big smile on Jimmy Johnson's face. So proud that his dad could be here. They've got family in the Texas area. And Dad gives the command for his final race here at Texas. We're racing when we come back.
The sound of Texas, 95.9 The Ranch.
So the big race coming up this Sunday out at Texas Motor Speedway.
I love the light, the smell, and the atmosphere of Texas Motor Speedway.
Got our season tickets ready for Sunday.
Welcome to a race week in Texas.
I mean, we've got excitement, and now we're on the hunt for the Final Four.
Joey Logano will race for a championship in 2020. Hell yeah! Race for a championship. Let's go!
3 spots left for that final round.
Who is going to win the race this Sunday?
Well, the floor is yours. Who's going to take the track and the trophy on Sunday?
I would probably have to say Brad Keselowski. I think it's going to be Kevin Harvick.
His momentum isn't going to stop, I don't think.
Brad Keselowski.
You were like the 4th straight to tell me Brad Keselowski.
Pulling for Chase.
Pulling for Chase. Come on.
I'm going to go with Harvick. I think he's going to be having the 6 shooters, and the eyes of Texas are upon him.
As Ric Flair says,
oh, I love this.
To beat the man, you got to beat the man, and the man is Kevin Harvick at Texas Motor Speedway.
I think it's going to come down to the wire.
Hell yeah, boys! How about that, baby?
So way to make a statement right there, but I'm proud of you.
Who will punch their ticket here at Texas Motor Speedway?
It's a goal and a dream that all the drivers set off with the beginning of the year. They want to win a championship. Only 8 have that opportunity now. Let's take a look at our starting grid for today's race.
Kevin Harvick, Bakersfield, California.
Joey Logano, Middletown, Connecticut.
Brad Keselowski, Rochester Hills, Michigan.
Chase Elliott, Dawsonville, Georgia.
Alex Bowman, Tucson, Arizona.
Martin Truex Jr., Mayetta, New Jersey.
Denny Hamlin, Chesterfield, Virginia.
Kurt Busch, Las Vegas, Nevada.
And those are the championship drivers for the playoffs as we look at rows 5 through the remainder of the field. Again, guys that were a part of the playoffs, no longer a part of it. That's the unique thing about NASCAR. Even though you're not in the playoffs, you're still on the racetrack. You can still affect the playoff drivers throughout the rest of the season. Let's see if we can dial up one of the round of 8 drivers, the driver of the number 11, Denny Hamlin Jr. Have you got his frequency?
Hey, Denny Hamlin, Dale Jr. in the booth. You got us?
10-4.
What are some of the challenges to getting around Texas?
You know, it's definitely our fastest mile-and-a-half racetrack that we got, but you know, just dealing with the aero situations. I mean, that's been the biggest hurdle, I guess you could say, is that, you know, trying to get around the front car if he's not lifting. And this track's a little bit narrower. It seems like even though the PJ1's up there, the car on the high side has a big advantage. It can hold the bottom car down. So it's just completing passes, I would say, is the toughest part of this one.
All right, buddy. We appreciate you giving us some time to talk to you. Good luck today.
Riding along with a few, of course, one of those being Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin has the Coca-Cola onboard camera. Great shot off the roof. We see little drops right there. We'll have to see what they say about that. Kevin Harvick's making his trip down pit road, checking his tack. He has the Hunt Brothers Pizza onboard camera.
Martin Truex Jr., Toyota cam. We're going to see a lot of cars in front of him in just a little bit. It got to fall to the back of the field. Austin Dillon, Coca-Cola cam. That DoorDash joining us this week. Bubba Wallace got the helmet cam for us. Absolutely love this shot.
And there is the pace car. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And once again, Team Chevy has commissioned the pink Camaro ZL1 pace car for today's race in support of making strides against breast cancer and the American Cancer Society. Check out ChevyCares.com to see how you can contribute. All right, Steve, a little bit of a different configuration here at Texas Motor Speedway. Take us through the race breakdown.
Well, you heard Denny Hamlin mention it. The fastest mile-and-a-half that we go to. That's really about 3 and 4 is the fastest end. 1.5 mile racetrack. Turns 1 and 2, 20 degrees. It's been flattened in recent years, but much wider, 80 feet wide. It looks even wider than that as the drivers turn down into turn 1. Then they go down the backstretch into turns 3 and 4. The original 24 degrees, only 50 feet wide, and the faster end of the racetrack, they will carry a ton of speed off turn 4 and down the front stretch. We talked about it earlier, 500 miles, 334 laps. Stage 1 and stage 2, 105 laps. The final stage, 124 laps. We feel they could go just over 60 laps on fuel, and we expect a competition yellow around lap 25.
All right, before we get the green flag, let's get a few more updates. We'll start with Parker.
Well, Rick, as you saw it there on those onboard cameras, a little condensation and mist in the areas we go to this aerial shot showing that mist that's come over the racetrack. And it's not enough to make anything wet on the ground here. It's not raining, but it's hanging in the air, just this little bit of mist. And I have to wonder, with that traction compound on the outside, on the upper grooves, how will that react to having that mist there? If I'm a driver sitting there in the car like Kevin Harvick, seeing this mist develop on the windshield, I have to think it's going to be a little treacherous going up in that high lane, Kelly.
With 7 wins on the season, Denny Hamlin has long been considered one of the championship favorites, but first he's got to advance to the championship race, and after a couple of average finishes the last 2 weeks, his points cushion has shrunk just a little bit. Both Denny and his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, told me there is no cause for concern. They feel like they still have the performance in the car and in this team. Chris told me it's simply they cannot defeat themselves. Denny Hamlin looking for his 4th Texas win here today, Dave.
In July, Kevin Harvick finished 5th in this race. That would be enough this afternoon to add more points to his plus 41 over the cut line advantage. But he'd rather win the race because that would keep someone else from automatically advancing, Rick.
Yeah, and we heard Parker talking about a little bit of mist in the air. I want to let you know what the weather conditions are currently. It's 65 degrees, and You see light and mist. It's been overcast all day. You know, we heard not adhering to the ground right now, or not getting down to the ground, but for some reason, you know, there's always a question mark with the PJ1 as to how different weather conditions are going to affect it.
Well, I have a question mark at 180 miles an hour, regardless of PJ1 or anything. Any sort of, you know, precipitation can be an issue, but lights are off in the pace car. He's going to turn left, Rick. We're going to get underway.
That means Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, making up row 1, are now in command of the race. Into turn 1 for the first time this weekend for these drivers. And they're wide open already up the racetrack. Matt DiBenedetto in the 21, that yellow 21, trying out the PJ1 early. Brad Keselowski taking advantage of a great start. He jumps up to second.
And that move by Matt DiBenedetto in that 21 does gain him a couple spots. We'll see if he gets in line. Pretty organized at the front. 3 cars in a row, and then a couple rows of 2 wide.
Yeah, one of them's Joey Logano. He's run a little bit higher now in that 22.
Last week's winner, the most relaxed playoff driver in Texas. This is, I mean, he wants to win. I won't say it's just for fun, but regardless of the finish, he knows he has a chance at a championship in a couple weeks.
See this front group of cars, as soon as they had an opportunity, they all went to the bottom of the racetrack, not trusting that outside lane just yet. Some drivers further back are kind of forced to be in it on that outside line.
Steve, you mentioned it, 183 miles an hour when they enter turn 1 there that last time for Kevin Harvick.
Matt DiBenedetto still clowning through the field, picking up a few spots here. Underneath the 18 of Kyle Busch. Kyle finding that speed and grip up in the high line. Up the racetrack, though. Has to get out of the gas. He's going to give up a spot to the 21, and it's brother Kurt Busch on the inside now.
Looks like he got really tight. He got up there, it was in the throttle, and the car wouldn't turn.
A little more gingerly through the turn here as he's up in that traction compound, the PJ1, and he has fallen back, and now William Byron in the 24 making the move. Ty Dillon's going back in the 13 as the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. is going forward. Remember, starting in the back after a 20-point penalty, failing pre-race inspection with the spoiler issue. And Steve, that's a don't touch this part once it has been handed to you by the manufacturer.
Yeah, NASCAR has really put that rule.
Oh, we got a car wrecking in turn 2.
Right up in front of the 19, up against the wall, and the caution comes out. It looks like that's the 17. Yeah, sure enough, 17 was around, and so already Chris Buescher has a little bit of damage to that car.
Yeah, made a little light contact with the back of the car, swung around, made contact with the right front.
And the right rear. So
I got it pretty good.
Oh boy, yes, I agree. Got it pretty good. A lot of damage on that car. You know, years past, you could say, all right, maybe you can hammer the sheet metal out, cut it away, put a new deck lid on it. But with the crash clock in the recent years, that car is not going to be repairable. That'll be the end of the day.
Let's take a look, see how this all got started here. This is after he's already lost control of the car. Can't see how it started. But like you said, Steve, that contact's going to be enough to end his day prematurely.
Couldn't tell if he had contact with anybody, but remember, that end of the racetrack has much less grip than 3 and 4. Way less banking in 1 and 2. Car jumps around on you so much quicker over there.
Crew hasn't written it off yet. They're going to try to beat and bang until they can get it maybe able to go back out. Well, NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers with high-definition in-car cameras. All you have to do, visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the mobile app today. So that mist looks like it's getting a little heavier.
Yeah, I just don't see how we can get this race restarted with so much weather in the area, Dave.
And what's really funny is you don't really feel it down here on pit road. I don't know if it's just, you know, at car roof height or what it might be, but Kevin's team telling him right now, that's Kevin Harvick on board. It's going to be a little tough up in the traction compound with this cold and the rain. So we'll see if they go green here and how the leader handles it.
Well, the lights are off on the pace car. It's getting ready to head onto pit road.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski was running second. He had a choice what to do. He chose the outside lane, so a lot of trust in that outside lane.
Here we go. They're going to let him run.
I'm nervous.
And you're in a broadcast booth. We'll see what happens. Through the restart zone again. Back up through the gears here at Texas.
Look at that outside line. Those guys trying to pinch themselves down and stay out of that traction compound. Just don't trust it yet.
Joey Logano jumped right up in it in the 22.
He has nothing to lose.
You're right. That's a good point.
Harvick out front still. Keselowski and Bowman fighting for the second spot. Bowman on the inside in the 88. Keselowski on his outside. Now a little bit of help from your friend or teammate. Joey Logano pushes the 2 ahead. So now Brad Keselowski running in the second spot.
Joey slid up the racetrack there. We're going to have 3 wide down the back straightaway. Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott. Chase backs out. Lets the Penske boys duke it out down here in 3 and 4 side by side.
He backed out, but he didn't go to the bottom. He went to the top of the racetrack, which shows me he trusts the top. He could have gone to the bottom of the racetrack. The hole was there and didn't do it. Right along. Listen, you heard how Denny Hamlin got out of the throttle getting into turn 1. Look at the difference getting into turn 3. Much more banking down here. Comes out of it just a little bit, but mostly in the throttle. Now down the front straightaways, head to turn 1. Way less banking over here, much less grip. Completely flat entry, all the way out of the gas. Has to wait to get back on the throttle. Austin Dillon really loose.
He's way out of the gas.
Yeah, he's definitely out of the gas. That was save mode.
Yeah, buddy.
So here comes the 18. Kyle Busch looks to the inside.
Oh, look at
Austin Dillon. Yeah, already going by Reed Sorensen in the 77.
Yeah, that's tough for those guys coming up on Reed so quickly, having to make a decision to change lanes. Everybody has to go single file around the 77 car down the front straightaway.
Riding along with Austin Dillon. We saw how loose he got a little while ago. Can't quit, though. They're not going to slow the race down for you. You got to just keep going. You can see how easy he's turning the wheel. Right? Very little wheel movement. The car is free. The back of the car is not real comfortable. See how he's got the wheel turning back to the right? It's just catching the back of the car. Afraid to turn that steering wheel a whole lot, because if he does, it'll spin out.
Yeah, after a moment like that, you run about 3 or 4 corners before you build the trust back in the car. Alex Bowman trying to run down this 2-car. Brad Keselowski down the back straightaway.
And the clock has been reset for Chris Buescher in the 17. He was able to make minimum speed. That's what resets that damage control or car policy.
A great job repairing. I thought the car would be done. So nice job by the 17 trying to continue.
Yeah, you had me talked into it, Steve.
Yeah, I don't think there was any way.
Interesting to see these guys still running that bottom groove. Back in the corner of the frame. Ryan Blaney running the high side. Most of the leaders still using the bottom. Blaney making that momentum work to get the inside of Chase Elliott now. Will he clear Chase through 3 and 4? Ooh, he comes right up in front of Chase.
Chase could have crossed him over right there. Chose not to. Feels like Blaney's a little bit quicker right now.
Gave him a little bit of a shove there going into the turn.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that that might be a sign of frustration, but with this sort of style of racing here, it's actually what you would want if you're Ryan Blaney, is for him to shove you down the straightaway. Ton of momentum and draft in these cars now. Kelly, you got more on the 12?
Yeah, Ryan Blaney obviously had a terrible start to the playoffs, and they were eliminated following the first round, but season far from over for this team. Crew Chief Todd Gordon told me, look, every point counts, every position in the standings counts. They could possibly make it up to 7th come season end. On top of that, he said, we really want to get a win one of these last 3 races. If we can do that, that'll help take some of the sting out of the disappointment of that opening round of the playoffs and set them off on the right direction heading into 2021. Dave?
Kelly, Austin Dillon runs 9th in the 3 car. Rudely bounced from the playoffs after the Charlotte Roval race. But remember, won here in July, right here in Texas. And he kind of caught a few people by surprise. Didn't catch himself by surprise. He said, but it elevated everybody, that win. It got us to the playoffs, and it made our confidence in the cars and the program that much stronger, Parker.
Dave, Matt DiBenedetto is one of the biggest movers at the front of the field, up 7 spots from his 12th place starting position up to 5th there into the top 5. And he told me something super interesting. You see Ryan Blaney trying to drive the inside maybe in turn 1 about how he prepared for this race. He said, I went and watched SMT data, but I watched each and every start and restart. And I watch it from all different angles and different views. He said, because that's the most important things when I come to this racetrack is how I'm going to get positions on the start and on restarts. And he did that to good measure here at the start of this race.
The SMT data that Parker talks about is basically all the driver inputs, the throttle, the brake. See Kurt Busch up the racetrack.
Yeah, it seems to be struggling just a bit. Let's see if we can listen into his radio.
Not necessarily hitting the splitter, just hitting the stop and shooting up. This is 1 and 2. This is 4 of them. Just got to get on the right front stop harder.
Kurt's been able to win here at Texas, but it was before the configuration. It was back in 2009 when he was in victory lane here. And he's in a must-win situation. He right now and Martin Truex Jr., guys fighting to continue their playoffs to get to the championship 4.
I think it's hard when you approach a race like that. Why you think it would free you up to do different things. You know, you try to win every week. It's not like you're going to try something different because it's in a must-win. And as we hear Kurt's feedback on the radio, I'll be honest, I get to listen to all of these different drivers as we prep for the weeks and listen to their radios. His is the most confusing to me. His feedback on it's not really loose or tight. He talks a lot about the chassis. It obviously works for the 1 car. They've had a good year. They've gone to victory lane. But personally, I struggle to understand. We've had a huge impact from the 27 at Yaley.
J.J. Yaley smashes the back of that car. A competition caution scheduled for lap 25. NASCAR might use this as their competition caution. But boy, what a big hit here for Yaley.
Battery loose because I can't get the thing to start.
You hear that's JJ on the radio saying it's fine. The battery's coming on. All right, Dale, I'm gonna double down. This one is for sure not repairable.
Oh my goodness.
Because I was wrong with the Buscher one. So.
And NASCAR is saying that this is going to be the comp caution. So now teams can come to pit road. They can put fuel in the cars, change tires, do all adjustments if they need to. But boy, a quick ending for J.J. Yaley's day.
Yeah, just a heavy impact. I lean on you drivers. I mean, the impact looks gigantic. I've heard from drivers, obviously I've never done it myself, that when you back them in, it's a little softer, but it doesn't look any better.
Yeah, well, they're flying through the corners here. I mean, it's just standing up here in the booth. They're flying through the middle of the corner, and any kind of issue in the center of the corner are going to send you hard in the fence.
They really do look fast. Amazing how fast they're going. And to your point, Steve, the back of the car just has more crushable zones in it. When you back it in, there's the AMR guys that are trying to help J.J. Yaley out. They do a great job every weekend, but it's just such a different hit when you back in. Let's go back and see if we can see what happened with J.J. There he is. He comes into shot and just right in the back of the car. And that is, you know, if you're going to have to hit something like that, that's the way you want it. The back of the car crushes so much better. It's not near the impact feeling than it is if you hit the front like that. Watch this thing just come around on him.
My gosh. Yeah, they're flying through the center of the corner, and he sends that thing up into the fence. And the safety of the cars, I know that we talk about that a lot, but just think about the forces that the fuel cell and everything went through in that impact, and it was able to maintain all the fuel in the cell. It's crazy that the safety has come so far today.
You know, that's a great point, Dale. We take it for granted, right? 25, 30 years ago, you would have questioned if that could have been a fire when you see a car back in like that. Much safer. He mentions the battery. If you're confused at home, your car at home, the battery's up front underneath the hood. Well, in a race car, the battery's in the back, right in front of the left rear tire, and it actually usually gets installed from the rear. So when you back it in, the battery kind of wants to leave the battery box. So not totally out of the question that his breakdown of the issue is right, although it didn't matter. Starting it up, we ride on board with Denny Hamlin doing what he needs to do currently, just inside the top 10, the 8th position.
You're going back to that wreck a little bit. That's amazing how that's one of the most difficult things about this racetrack, especially down there in 1 and 2. You have a lot of grip. And then when you lose it, it happens instantly. And around the car goes. He never had a chance to save that car, never had a chance to do anything but just get it backed in. That's what happens here. You're carrying so much speed in the middle of the corner.
You see Denny Hamlin grabbing a drink here while we're under caution. You can crank up the volume this NASCAR playoffs with a chance to win the 2021 Toyota GR Supra 3.0 Premium. Plus, get access to music playlists curated by your favorite Toyota NASCAR Cup Series drivers like Denny Hamlin or Martin Truex Jr. Get started at NASCAR.com/Toyota Playoffs. Steve, I think you would really enjoy the same kind of music that Kyle Busch probably listens to.
We had the discussion. I thought about this after yesterday's promo, and I'm thinking it's Truex. If I'm going to line up with anyone, yeah, I could see Truex. I'm a country music fan. He seems like a country music guy. Is he out there fishing, maybe?
And field on their way down pit road. Parker.
Brad Keselowski's going to peel off there for the second position at the top of your screen. Jeremy Bolin says we're sticking to the plan, which is the code word Mustang, as they love to use on the Team Penske cars. That means 4 tires for Brad Keselowski and the 2.
Well, it was fuel only for Alex Bowman in that 88 car. He was a little bit free, so they made a small chassis adjustment to help him out. Dave.
Rodney Childers said, let's do that thing that we talked about. That was 2 left side tires only, and Sunoco fuel. Kevin's gone.
Big variety on pit road, Rick. You see some 2s. Some of those are rights. Some of those are lefts. And those 0s are not a mistake. Even some fuel onlys on pit road.
Yeah, you see Bowman gaining a spot. No new tires.
Drivers! Start your engine!
Pretty cool moment there as Gary Johnson, Jimmy Johnson's dad, was able to give the command to fire the engines. And another cool moment, I would have to say, for Lefty Designs and Noah Sweet. Right, Parker?
Right, Rick. You know, often we talk about how drivers give back to communities and fans, and the paint scheme on the 48 is a testament to that. It was designed, as you mentioned, by 19-year-old Noah Sweet, who grew up a Jimmy Johnson fan and goes by the social media handle of Lefty, an ode to the left turns in NASCAR. Noah is an up-and-coming graphic designer who over the last few years, for fun, often posted schemes on social media. And earlier this year, he designed a 48 car that was rainbow-colored in support of the LGBTQ community. It was a beautiful car, but unfortunately, there was a lot of people that found a reason to bully him for this. And it led Noah to taking a break from social media. His friends were worried, and then they came up with the hashtag #WeLoveLefty. It spread all over social media, and when he returned to social media, he saw an outpouring of support from fans and a very special message from his hero, Jimmy Johnson. From that, Jimmy and Ally reached out to him through a Zoom call and let him know they wanted him to design a scheme. Noah went through 10 concepts before deciding on this scheme that's on Jimmy Johnson's car, and now his hero, the 7-time champion, is making left turns in a scheme by Lefty. What a moment to that young man.
Pretty cool. Field going through the Geico restart zone as we get back up to speed. Two tires versus no new tires on the 88. Way up the racetrack goes the 11. Denny Hamlin almost loses it.
Right behind him, the 10 car of Eric Almirola, also way up the racetrack. Both cars losing many spots down the back straightaway.
Harvick surging ahead. Here comes the 22 of Joey Logano on the inside of Bowman.
Look for the Brad Keselowski back there in the middle of 3 wide.
Denny was running 4th when he went up the racetrack, lost a lot of positions. Now, a big run by Alex Bowman, and Harvick's into the wall. Harvick tags the outside wall.
Hold your line, hold your line. Hold your line, hold your line. Might have a...
Harvick trying to keep it at speed. 2 favorites all season, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, both having issues in the same part of the racetrack.
He's going to have to pit right here.
Yeah, huge contact for the 4, Jeff. The right side flat, the Goodyear lettering missing off both right side tires.
Right side flat.
Look out the rear. There's the 11 who had his issues as well.
11's going to go to the inside of him.
Oh, the 2 favorites have had just awful turn of events here in a couple of laps. The 11 lost track position. That's recoverable. The damage to this 4, I'm not sure, guys. Kevin Harvick's trying to ride it out here, but you see the damage on the right side.
4. Flat-sided. I can't see smoke out here, but you know best.
You can imagine Kevin's frustration. He said, I got killed for what? I imagine he's referring to this early in the going. But you know how drivers are during the playoffs, and that one will cost Kevin Harvick here. He'll have to come to pit road, Parker.
Guys, I have to think this might be a little bit of the condensation you're seeing on that onboard camera. It got very intense just as we went to that restart. We see Kevin Harvick now going on pit road. I have to think that has made the grip level very low.
Right side tires pulling it out.
Oh, we got another car on the wall off turn 4. Clint Boyer. Oh, no, not Clint Boyer. Cole Custer.
Yep, that was off 2.
2.
And it's Cole Custer in the 41. It seems as though 1 and 2 slick.
I thought Cole was way up the racetrack, almost in the fence.
Yeah, he had the same issue as Kevin Harvick did. It went through there and just all of a sudden just lost it. I agree with Parker. I think this mist is picking up. Watch Kevin Harvick. He drives into the corner, and everything looks good, and then right here, he loses it. See how much room Bowman's gaining on him? It just never was able to gain back up, and the car never turned. You just have to wonder if the racetrack isn't a little bit damp right there. I don't know. Other cars didn't have a problem. It's just not a mistake you see Kevin Harvick make.
Look at everyone fan out going by him.
He's trying to run the top.
Right along with it.
Better than him on the bottom, but he is getting runs clear up. He'll probably come inside here. Here he comes. He got a hell of a run. Easy now.
You know how much he was out of the gas?
Easy. Hold your line. 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 Might have a flat, guys.
Here's the issue with Denny Hamlin. Jumps trying to get to the outside of 88, maybe just a little bit too high. Way up there in that traction compound where no one has been, either wet or dirty, up that high in the racetrack. And it's all about spun out there.
Look at all the moisture on his camera.
One lane. One lane.
Cole Custer.
Inside.
Same corner. Look at that. Back of the car, rolls around on it. He chases it and chases it. That's the end of the racetrack. You're going to see problems. It's much flatter. We talked about it. Dave, what do you have on Harvick?
And I can tell you it is misting constantly down here now, but the track and the tires, hopefully the heat is keeping most of it out for the racers. Kevin did radio in. I've got smoke coming into the cockpit, so I think I have a tire rubbing. He did say the steering wheel was straight, so once we get the body right, he should be okay there.
And I like that decision by Kevin Harvick, as disappointing as it is to come to pit road. 334 lap race, Rick. A flat tire and more contact into the wall could end your day. The 4 still seems like it's reasonably in one piece. Obviously not as good as it could be, but just continue to work on it, continue to gain the points. You see 8 points above, but 8 points above running in the 38th position. A lot of points available if they can continue to improve.
Steve, Kevin Harvick has 9 wins. We almost guaranteed him in the championship for an accident early in this race. He's only 8 points above the cut line right now. A possibility that Kevin Harvick doesn't go to the championship for.
Well, and that disappointment for Kevin Harvick instantly adds excitement to the 88, the 9, the 4, the 2, the 11, the other drivers, even the 19 at minus 38, perhaps can see a way in if someone like Harvick continues to have problems. Kelly.
Win by the 88 would certainly be worst case scenario for a lot of these teams. And just before this restart, the 88 team observed that the clouds were a bit lower in turn 4. They said it looked like the mist was getting heavier. And then just a few laps ago, Alex out in the lead said it is pretty wet out here.
Pretty wet, and they're still, they're going 180 miles an hour, drivers. I mean, are you surprised we're seeing this?
Yeah, I figured it. I mean, with everything on the line and what's at stake here today, I think that, you know, it's a little bit too treacherous. You know, this morning before the race started, the ceiling cloud cover was around 600, 700 feet. That's dropped dramatically to around 300 feet right now. We got a lot of mist, a lot of rain, a lot of wet all over the racetrack. I mean, it's obviously the guys going around the racetrack, they're keeping that very particular part of the track reasonably dry, but anything even a half a foot outside of that groove is going to be very treacherous.
Well, look at Bubba Wallace's camera. This is the best shot we have of it. You can see how clearly there's some moisture, but, you know, I've seen the series race in this kind of moisture before.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute.
Race like this before.
I don't remember when.
Junior, you made the comment a couple races ago you would race on an oval in the rain. You made that comment.
I would if I had rain tires. If I had rain tires, I would.
Well,
they might need them today.
Here's a shot right here. Here's what Bubba Wallace actually sees from his his viewpoint, right? What does the windshield look like, right? That's the key. How does the windshield look? How bad is it getting?
Amazing. They're at speed. Alex Bowman is out front trying to take advantage of an opportunity. And already, the 11 and 4 have had issues. It's NASCAR Cup Series playoffs on NBCSN. Autotrader, EchoPark, Automotive 500. The precipitation on the lenses of the cameras have told the story, and now the caution has come out, and this is for that precipitation. Weather in the area. Now, when we looked at the radar, you don't see anything. This is so low. We talked about the ceiling. The clouds are down, so low. That's where this mist is coming from. We're seeing it on our cameras. You didn't really see it that clearly on the windshield when we were riding along with Bubba Wallace, but there is this precipitation. Now, if it starts to affect, obviously, the racing surface, that's what NASCAR was worried about, and so the caution has been thrown. We'll see what the plan is. I mean, how long do you go like this until you decide, all right, we can go back to racing?
Yeah, that's NASCAR's decision, but this is a good break, the yellow flag, I mean, for the 4 of Kevin Harvick. I mean, his pace was not in question early. When you look at the Xfinity fastest laps, Kevin Harvick's at the top of the list, lap 11. He ran the fastest lap of the race. Then it was Chase Elliott, Matt DiBenedetto, Logano, and Bowman. And for the Kevin Harvick fans at home, he came to pit road, changed those right side tires after damage, didn't have a lot of time to repair it, and his speed came back some. He's not the fastest car as he was earlier, but only a couple tenths of a second off. I think there's opportunity to continue to improve this car, so that's why I mean this is a good break for the 4 of Kevin Harvick. A yellow, come down pit road, come to Rodney Childers and the crew, and now they can really work on the cosmetics. Forget about track position, forget about the lap you're down. Let's start with fixing the car. You're going to have a bunch of takers because this is just inside the fuel window for this first stage.
See you guys come to pit road now, and we'll start with Parker.
You see Joe Logano there. Oh, almost gets into Eric Almirola. Just fuel only for Joe Logano.
Last time it was fuel only for the 88 of Alex Bowman, so this time they're giving him 4 fresh Goodyear tires. He was just getting a little bit loose in traffic.
Martin Truex from starting into the back all the way up to 4th position before this. They'll take left side tires and Sunoco fuel.
So the caution this time is out for a little bit of precipitation here in the area. Third caution of the day from Texas. You can go inside the headset with access to NASCAR Scanner for only $4.99 during the playoffs. Listen in on pit strategy, spotter communication, crew chief calls, what drivers say throughout the race. Log into the app. Use on mobile devices. Visit NASCAR.com/scanner. So with attendance still limited at the racetrack, Busch is giving you the chance to win the ultimate at-home tailgate experience, featuring everything fans need for a successful championship weekend, including, of course, Busch Beer. Enter to win now on Twitter by following @BuschBeer and tweeting #OfficialBeerSweepstakes. Parker.
Well, Rick, I think a lot of fans out there might be wondering, all right, I'm seeing all this moisture on those in-car cameras. It looks like it's raining. Why are they still running? Well, let me show you. I think I have the best example of what the conditions are here. So this is my iPad I use for reporting. You can see the water droplets that are gathering on it, right? It's very little there. It's just not a lot there, just little bits of water droplets. But if I go down the ground and I touch it, it's dry, bone dry. There's nothing on the ground here at all. This is right on pit road. There's literally no moisture whatsoever on the actual asphalt. And I think that's what NASCAR is doing with these drivers are dealing with, is there's this moisture, this condensation in the air, but it's not getting all the way to the ground. So is it affecting, that moisture affecting that PJ1? Maybe, but I think that's why we saw them run so long when it looked so bad from the in-car cameras.
We ride along. I mean, you look at this shot right here, you think it's raining. I mean, it looks like there's rain falling down, but as Parker just mentioned, it's a mist that's just kind of hanging in the air.
Well, it's the same challenge for NASCAR. So they are up here in the booth, basically the same location we are, observing this track, seeing these same camera shots. They're radioing down to their officials around the track, radioing down to the pace car, asking the pace car how the track looks. They can even ask drivers, hey, thumbs up or thumbs down, or communicate through your spotter. So this is a very difficult situation for NASCAR. You have to decide whether it's raceable or not. We have seen cars get out of the groove and make contact. A mistake out of Kevin Harvick. Was that moisture induced? We don't know. So it's a tough decision. I'll say this, at least 50 times this year. I'm just glad I'm not NASCAR and I have to make these decisions. You know, they have to make some tough calls when it comes to this.
There's so much on the line is the situation right now.
Yeah, but
there's so much on the line.
I don't buy that. Every race is the same. It's 36 races. You got to officiate them the same. You can't change the way you officiate because it's the playoffs. Inbounds is inbounds on every football game all year long, regardless of the Super Bowl or not. I think it's the same situation here in Texas. Whether this is the first race, that could have been somebody's playoff berth. So I feel you have to officiate it the same.
To me, this tells the story, right? Can you see it drying underneath those jet dryers? I don't see the color changing on the asphalt. I don't see where, you know, I don't see anything different behind the truck versus on the left side of the truck where the jet dryer is blowing. So it's a very hard call for NASCAR right here.
And we are under a caution for weather right now, even though it's not getting all the way to the ground.
Tuesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series playoffs continue at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. The first time at this layout at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. The final race of the playoffs. Log on to eNASCAR.com for complete coverage. This will set the championship for Rick. Last opportunity. Myself and Parker will join in on the coverage. Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, eNASCAR.com. Kelly.
Well, before Kevin Harvick got into the wall, remember it was Denny Hamlin who got outside the groove and lost a lot of track position. Eventually, as we got to this caution, he came over to the radio to say, I don't know what happened there. I wasn't even up to speed. Now, remember, this is the third straight week where they've had an issue sort of self-inflicted. I asked his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, I asked him if he thought Denny was distracted at all or overwhelmed with the news of the new race team he's starting next year with Michael Jordan. He gave me I had a long pause before he gave me his answer. I said, look, he's made some mistakes, but he's just human. I don't think there's any correlation between that and the race team that he's starting for next year. He's just human. But remember, Denny and Chris Gabehart both told me no cause for concern. They felt like they had the performance, but now, Dave, 3 straight weeks, and we see an issue here with the 11 team.
Kelly riding along in 36th position. Sorry, Rick, a lap off the pace is the 4 car of Kevin Harvick. He came down on that last opportunity to have the car checked over again. In fact, car chief Cheddar Smith and crew chief Rodney Childers went over the wall to look at it and assess the damage. I don't think anything's really bent in terms of the steering or the alignment or anything, but the body definitely, so they worked on that a little bit. And when this race resumes, they feel like the 4 car will be in decent shape. But again, he's a lap down at this point.
Sorry to jump on you there, Dave, but they brought the field down pit road. They're stopping them on pit road. Looks like a red flag is going to get displayed here pretty soon because of this precipitation that's in the air. There are jet dryers out on the racetrack. The Air Titans aren't out there because there's no precipitation to move. I mean,
there's no water to move.
Yeah, there's no water to move off of the track at this time, but the jet dryers are out there. So we'll see if they're able to stay ahead of any of this precipitation that is still in the air. They're bringing the final cars up, and once they all get stopped, it will be red flag condition here at Texas Motor Speedway. Only 52 laps in to a 334 lap race. A beautiful sight here at Texas Motor Speedway as drivers, crews, and cars all out on pit road right now, getting ready to restart this race that started on Sunday. 52 laps are complete. You know, the weather wreaked havoc and created chaos this week, but chaos is nothing new here at Texas Motor Speedway.
It is a speedway with swagger.
One of the fastest tracks we come to.
This is the place where fists have flown, faces have been bloody.
You left a hole, man, and he closed it.
I left a hole. You are the fucking no goodness motherfucker I've ever met.
Junior will lay claim to his first NASCAR Cup victory.
The most dramatic finish ever at Texas.
This is about like the Alamo, and I don't know who's going to win. Got a good race car, a good engine, and boy, drove a good race.
Damn, it's good to be in victory lane here in Texas.
There are still 282 laps to go in this race. 52 laps. Very eventful because you see Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin only 2 points above the cut line. Chase Elliott one below is Brad Keselowski. And again, a reminder, Martin Truex Jr. started the race with a 20-point penalty, had the spoiler impounded before the race. So Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte, Rick Allen with you as we get ready for the restart of this race. And Jeff, we'll start with you. It's been a crazy 72-hour red flag situation.
Yeah, it really has, and I think it's made the intensity level even pick up more. Drivers sitting around for days trying to finish a race they already started. That tells me that we're going to see some excitement right off the bat. A lot of unknowns about this racetrack, Steve. I just don't think the crew chiefs understand what they have, nor do the drivers.
Yeah, intensity, unknowns, and I'll add to that, focus. I mean, this is one of those things that we've never seen before. We've seen delays, and that's the sound we've all been waiting for. Engines fired on pit road, but the focus, these crew chiefs need to make sure they talk to and touch all the different crew members, make sure they're all ready. You can't assume anything, Rick. This weather delay has wreaked havoc on everyone, and I have a little bit of concern about the equipment. Remember, these cars have been sitting, well, they have been fired every day to get ready to go race. You just never know. I mean, I have no idea what sitting for 3 days are going to do these cars.
All right, and Jeff, when you strap back into this car, I mean, as a driver, do you feel like, okay, I remember what it felt like 3 days ago getting out of the car?
Yeah, you do, Rick, but I think you have to assume it's going to be different. I think the biggest concern for these drivers right now is that traction compound in the second and third grooves. It's so cold. It's been so wet for 3 days straight. Is that traction compound going to have any grip? Is anybody going to trust it? Are you going to be the guy that drives up in there on lap one trying to make grip? And if you do and it doesn't make grip, what is the consequence of that? I think that's the biggest concern for the drivers right now.
No, the answer is no, Jeff. I'm telling my driver, don't test it. We have so much racing. I think that's the other thing to remind ourselves. We have around 52 laps, but this is a 500-mile race. I bring that up because it should be celebrated. This is our 7th and final 500-mile race of the year. We didn't know it was going to take multiple days, Rick, but the challenge, the test of 500 miles is still in front of these drivers, and I think that only helps the veterans. While I thought it was going to help someone like Kevin Harvick, he's already gotten to the wall, but you see Denny Hamlin right here. He lost his track position. Luckily for Denny Hamlin, more than enough racing in front of him to recover.
And we're going to transition Parker Kligerman from meteorologist back to pit reporter. What's happening down on pit road, Parker?
Well, guys, first of all, the smell of race fuel, excellent after 3 days. Great to smell that. But one driver who I do not think is going to go up that top lane very early is the 2 car of Brad Keselowski, because his crew chief, Jerry Mullins, was very confident in the position they're in because they were actually able to take 4 tires on the competition caution, then 2 right sides on that last caution before we went under red flag, which puts them in 9th place on the best tires of anyone. So this really could play into their hands here in being able to go and get stage points.
Well, Parker, it's amazing how just 52 laps changed the playoff picture. Kevin Harvick, you see the damage Steve mentioned. He got into the wall. He led the first 28 laps of the race and then made contact off of turn 2 with the outside wall. But Rodney Childers has had 72 hours to think about the repairs on the 4 car and their plan as we go back to caution. They will be coming down pit road to make sure the toe is fairly straight. Kevin thinks it's just barely off, but they think the damage is not that bad. And talking to Rodney Childers earlier today, I asked him, is the shot at the win gone? He said, absolutely not. I think we know the repairs we need to make. We will make those repairs. We'll still have a shot to win this race, Rick.
Yeah, and we're being told that pit road will be open so they can come right back down to pit road and start doing work on their cars. We have been under a red flag condition. You can't adjust or do anything to your cars in that situation. Here's what happened to Kevin.
It just gets high right here, Jeff, a little bit out of the groove, a little bit of moisture, a combination of both. In the end, though, contact to the wall, not too severe, though.
Yeah, when he got out of the car, we could see him talking to Rodney Childers, how he was making hand gestures. I had the steering wheel turned, and the car just would not turn. And here we ride along off the gas forever, and the car just wouldn't turn. And that's what we talked about, Steve, with that traction compound, how slick it was. That ultimately is what he felt like got him in trouble. A little bit of moisture on that traction compound, it becomes more slick than the rest of the asphalt on the other parts of the racetrack.
So another big change, obviously when the start of this race happened, it was in the 60s. And now you're seeing the temperature high 40s. It has cooled off. A very different situation here as far as weather.
Yeah, the weather is going to affect this racetrack. This is a track, as you see, the work on the floor of Kevin Harvick already starting. They basically didn't even pull back on the racetrack. They have this option. This will be pitting with pit road closed, but they don't care about the penalty. The guy in the front, you see a tape measure, that yellow thing below the bottom of the tire. They're going to check the front toe, which is basically, you know, the two front tires pointed in the same direction. They towed together, towed out. There you have it. Come up with a nice plan. This is what Marty referred to, right? I mean, this is something you wouldn't be able to orchestrate this in the chaos of a race. But for 3 days, Rodney Childers has orchestrated this with his crew. Guys, we're going to pull over. We're going to stop. We're going to check this. Got his driver involved. Kevin, I want you to do this. This is the feedback we need. And you can see, I call that a fine adjustment. When you start working like that with a hammer, that's way more of a fine adjustment. I have to agree with Rodney Childers. If I had Kevin Harvick in my fantasy lineup, which I do, I'm not taking him out yet. I still think he can win this race.
Yeah, he wasn't swinging with that hammer, Marty. He was just making adjustments.
And that all planned, as Steve mentioned. And Steve, they had the massive advantage. You had to warm up the cars for 3 straight days, right? So see that tape on the left side of the hood there beside the Hunt brothers? They actually had to take that tape off for 3 straight days and then reapply that tape back on. So every time they took the tape off to warm up the engine, they were able to look at the damage. And Rodney told me they learned something every day. Of course, the first day, they got the real big picture of what they wanted to do with the car. But the second and third days, they kind of came up with a little bit more, Steve. That's a huge advantage. And they didn't go outside the NASCAR rules, Steve, to do that. That NASCAR told them that you got to warm up the car, so they got to take the tape off and look at that damage every day.
Always coaching, Rick. Just like in the NFL, you see these creative delay of game penalties. Listen, you got to always coach, and I think that's the key. One footnote, though, as we're riding around here, reminding everyone, these are pace laps. These are being scored. So if you come down pit road, you lose your position. If you have something silly happen, you can lose a lap. Kevin Harvick, who we're on board with right now, is currently 1 lap down. But we still have, listen, remind everybody, the end of stage 1. I normally we talk about the race breakdown. Well, the end of stage 1 is lap 105. The end of stage 2 at lap 210. And we still want to try to run 334 laps to get this race completed.
So many have asked me, is this something that has ever happened before in NASCAR? Well, as a matter of fact, it has. Back in 1973, a Bristol race started on March 11th, and it was stopped because of rain. Well, they went and ran a race and then came back to Bristol. So it was almost 2 weeks that had passed since the start of the race. Cale Yarborough led the first 52 laps before it was stopped, and then he came back and led every lap after that. And again, that resumed on March 25th. Cale Yarborough led all 500 laps and hoisted the trophy at the end of that one.
Jeff, how'd you run in that thing?
Oh, my.
Well, Cale led every lap, so I obviously didn't know very well, Steve.
Sorry.
I did kind of know that Steve's been here for a long time and that he might be throwing some shots here.
I got 3 days worth. I am prepped. I got shots for everybody.
Well, hey, while we were watching Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers work on their car, 17 of Chris Buescher, he was in a wreck on Sunday, and he went to the garage. They're trying to repair that car so they can have a little more speed. So repairing a wreck from 3 days ago.
That's a better team than me, Jeff. I may have been looking at flights out of Dallas-Fort Worth if we were already wrecked. So we talked about Kevin Harvick. We've updated him, Denny Hamlin. We have a bunch of different things, but it's a myriad of strategies through the entire field. We're going to try to cover them all. But what you need to know is, it's not just a clean start to the race. We see Boyer. He was last on pit road at lap 46, no tires. He actually took a couple tires earlier at the comp yellow. Truex sitting on right side. You see the variety. Important note, Bowman, he has already led 17 laps in this race. He's down in the 16th position, but that's a little bit by choice. He put on 4 tires, and then you see Wallace, McDowell, Newman, and so forth. So, we normally would cover everyone, Rick. I think what you need to understand is this is kind of like a start of the race, but everybody's not equal. It's very jumbled up.
And Harvick comes back down onto pit road. Remember, with 9 wins already, came in with the most playoff points for Kevin Harvick. And once the playoffs have started, he has been very, very strong. Obviously hitting the wall coming off of turn 2. Not the way he wanted this, the second race of the round of 8, to get underway. But he's still in a good position. He is right now he scored a lap down, but the possibility of getting that lap back through free pass is still out there.
Oh, it's definitely out there. I mean, we have almost the entire race. How about this? I want to take a minute. For a season of craziness where fans weren't allowed, they were allowed here at Texas Motor Speedway. We're here on a Wednesday. and there are fans in the stands. These are the hardcore fans. I spoke with Eddie Gossage. I said, Eddie, can you believe there are fans here? He said, you know what? We're going to reward these fans. All of these fans scan in. They have their contact information. So Texas Motor Speedway is going to label these as Texas Motor Speedway super hardcore fans. When they all get home tonight, in their inboxes from Texas Motor Speedway is going to be an email with a certificate. All of these fans are going to receive pit passes to the All-Star race, which will be June 13th here at Texas Motor Speedway. I think Eddie Gossage and the staff here at Texas Motor Speedway and the fan base in the great state of Texas, bravo for coming out and supporting your fans. And for that reason, come back next summer, lose the jackets, although the hat's pretty awesome, and you'll have some pit passes. Yeah. Well done by the racetrack.
Pretty great. We referenced the trailers and the RVs that were still here, these dedicated fans. Well, let's take a look at tonight's Ram trucks built to serve. Jeff?
Yeah, early trouble for Harvick and Hamlin, obviously. Changing conditions. What is this racetrack going to be like compared to where it was on Sunday? And then the importance of 1 and 2. 1 and 2 has much less banking, much less grip than the other parts of the racetrack. You're going to have to be good over there if you're going to win this race.
And by the way, did you notice the lights were off on the pace car there, Steve?
I'm nervous.
Beautiful sight right here. Glenn Boyer, Jimmy Johnson up front, and green flags back out in Texas.
Scattered start, isn't it, guys? Back there about 10th, about the 7th and 8th row, nobody's pulled up.
I don't think anybody wants to be up there. I think that's just patience, Jeff. You talked about the risk. Look how tight that second lane is, Jeff. Purposely staying out of that dark area. Big wiggle by Jimmy Johnson up top.
Close to the wall there for the 48 of Jimmy Johnson as he exited 2.
And you don't want to be 3 wide. We've been talking about that, afraid to be in that traction compound. Jimmy Johnson wisely found a way to get single file.
That car right behind him, a little hard to recognize from him, but that's the number 9, black and dark pink Hooters car for Chase Elliott. That's his teammate. I think kind of lifted a little bit, let Jimmy Johnson get his car corrected, get back single file.
Up front, Boyer, Eric Jones, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, William Byron, all inside the top 10.
You can see that 2 car, how low he is, right? Think about the difference between that and what we saw on Sunday when this race started. Brad would have been up in that black part of the racetrack. He don't want to go there. He's afraid to go there, so he's really pinching that 18 car off.
And you see William Byron. He says, I like the bottom. I'm going to turn left in that 24. Oh, Brad comes right down, blocks the 24, has him get out of the gas. For that reason, the 8 turns to the inside of him. We've seen that lead to accidents here when someone has to check up.
Yeah, that took all the air off of that 24 car of William Byron. Had to get completely out of the gas. William now in that second lane, making it work.
And the 42 slides, tags the 43. Bubba Wallace back into traffic, and the outside wall caution comes out.
Heavy damage to the 43. You saw it live. Started with a little stack up. The 42 got loose in front of the 11 as they stack up off the corner.
Heavy damage to the 42 as well. This ground is so wet.
11 got a back of him, turn him down into us.
Look at that damage right there. We talked about it. We saw an Xfinity car go through the grass all the way back on Saturday. No real issue because the grass was dry, saturated, and look at the damage from Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, that car went on to win the race, Steve, but this car here is done. It just so wet. The grass just, the splitter just dug in and just ripped the front of the car off of it.
Yeah, that car is destroyed. The 43 also destroyed. We saw the window net go down for Bubba Wallace. He's already out walking back to his pit.
Now, you talking about disappointment.
Oh, man.
You've been sitting, waiting to race for 3 days. And to get knocked out of the race this early, how disappointing that would be and frustrating.
So opposite end of the spectrum, though, the 4 of Kevin Harvick back on the lead lap.
Yeah, so we knew that was going to be his goal. You see Bubba Wallace right there. You know he's frustrated. DoorDash on the 43 car, new partner this year. I'm sure the garage area probably fans of DoorDash over the last 3 days here. So unfortunate that car is going to be retired. The 42 of Matt Kenseth as well. Yeah, you see the frustration.
Well, you mentioned it. I mean, 72 hours.
Yeah.
They've been waiting to get back out there and race, and this happens, 2-3 laps into it.
Well, we'll take a look at it right here. Jeff, I think Bubba Wallace with nowhere to go. Wrong place, wrong time. Let's take a look at the accident.
Yeah, well, let's start it. Matt Kenseth, just car gets wiggles, then runs up in front of Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin really nowhere to go, gets into the back of the 42. Look at the 42 just get destroyed when he went in that grass. So we talked about he just got a little bit loose and just somebody, he didn't have anywhere to go. Right here, loose, right up in front of Denny Hamlin, now out of control. Bubba Wallace, nowhere to go. Now only thing he can do is lock it down and hope. He did get into Eric Almirola there.
He did. I didn't see that the first time through. And Jeff, I know this sounds silly, but I want to ride on board with Denny Hamlin in the 11. You know, talk about flashing in front of you right here. We're going to see the wiggle. I want to see how hard he hit. I tell you, Jeff, that's not a slight bit of contact. I think the 11 is fine as far as mechanical issues, but as fast as this racetrack is, you can easily separate the nose, have a hole in the nose. It will affect downforce. We have to keep an eye on the 11. That's shot by the 42 in the wet grass. Huge, huge wreck.
Let's ride along with Bubba Wallace, the dash camera.
Hard on the bottom. Down. Son of a bitch.
No, I mean, nothing he could do, right? I mean, Jeff, that's
yeah,
just,
there's nothing
you know.
Sometimes you're just in the wrong place. That's all that was. Parker.
Well, guys, Chris Gabehart and that 11 team are looking at the nose of that 11 car. Take a listen to what they had to say on the radio.
All right, we're looking for pictures. I see you got a little contact there. How bad do you think it was? It was pretty straight on. I'm sure there's something, but shouldn't be a whole lot.
And it sounded maybe like they described some holes maybe around the Camry's logos there. So we'll see if they do decide to come down pit road and try to get that fixed on the 11 car, if there is actually holes that they're trying to see through the pictures. As you can see, maybe right there to the right of the C on Camry, it may be some damage there they have to fix.
So, Jeff, in my mind, this is the time. If I'm the 11 car, I'm coming down pit road, and I'm going to start taping those up purely because of the speed of this racetrack. I mean, this is a place that if you allow that hole, it's not just the air that's no longer pushing on the nose, Rick, but downforce is made by kind of the difference in pressure. So basically, you're going to jam that air under the hood. That's going to take away a lot of front downforce. You really need to try to get some repairs. You see the team looks like they're getting prepped, Jeff.
Yeah, I think this is the right time to do it. I mean, if you're going to fix this car, now's the time to fix it, no doubt. So the other day we saw the racetrack. Watch Denny Hamlin. He gets loose, but he had the advantage of no one being behind him, right? So sometimes in racing, luck matters. And in this case, Denny Hamlin gets loose, traces up the racetrack. The same thing Matt Kenseth was doing, but someone was behind Matt Kenseth, and that was why the contact. There's some things in racing that something may start. See right here, Matt Kenseth gets loose the same way Denny Hamlin got loose, but someone was there, and that contact sends Matt Kenseth around.
Yeah, why do crew chiefs and drivers have sleepless nights in the playoffs? What did Denny Hamlin do wrong there? I mean, nothing, right? So fortunate to get through this, but say he was the 43, right? Somebody else's accident takes you out.
Well, when we talked with Denny Hamlin earlier today, he mentioned, you know, the problem with that little bobble that we had put me back in the middle of this field. So that's why he was in that position right then. And he's in that position, and all of a sudden the 42 spins in front of him.
Well, he told us, right? I point blank asked him, hey, how are you going to race today? For points or for the win? And here's what he had to say towards that.
These are the moments that NASCAR wanted, right? They wanted the Game 7 moments, but you know, we put in such a great first 8 innings. It would stink to go out right here in the 9th inning. But I think that myself and Kevin have really, done a great job of solidifying our spot in the regular season, and anything can happen. It's 3 races. It's a 3-race season, and you can have a lead, and it all can get washed away really, really quickly in just one race.
Yeah, Steve, that was just earlier today, about an hour ago, a little over an hour ago when he was talking to us.
What does he say? Game 7 moments, and he said he's had a great 8 innings. This is the 9th inning. He related it to baseball because he has had a great regular season. It's gone a little cold. You see right there, 1 win in the last 9. Why, that's pretty good by most people. It's a little weaker than he was earlier in the year. But I loved his answer when I said, hey, are you racing for points? Are you racing for a win? I don't think he really answered. He said, well, we're going to get points in stage 1, points in stage 2, and if we do that, that'll free us up to try to race for a win. But listen, action early here in Texas.
After the restarts, it's the 42. Matt Kenseth sliding down, tagging the 43. Bubba Wallace, both involved, both out of the race.
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway, here with Bubba Wallace, who was just released from the infield care center. And Bubba, what happened there in that wreck? Did you just have nowhere to go?
Yeah, no, I just hate it for my guys for sitting around for 4 days to have the race taken away from us like that. But we'll wait, sit on the plane and wait to go home. I got 2 races left. It's unfortunate. The funny thing is, the only thing I think about is, damn, I didn't grab my hat. My mom's going to be pissed. My hair looks bad. So on to Martinsville. See ya.
You can see, understand the frustration, guys sitting around here this long wanting to get home. Marty?
Hey, Parker, meantime, pit road is a very busy place because you saw Matt Kenseth come down pit road. He was spewing water everywhere coming down pit road. So now the pit crew guys out on pit road cleaning up as best they can, kind of doing it by hand. There's also a sweeper on pit road. So pit road trying to get it cleaned up so if pit stops were to happen, the crews and the cars would be ready.
Look at this mess right here, Rick. These guys are trying to clean up. Pit road is open, still no takers. So I want to go back to what Bubba had to say. Jeff, I appreciate what he said. He said only 2 left. He means with Richard Petty Motorsports. He's been there. They've believed in him. He's believed in them. Moving on. Big excitement, right? He's going to join. We have a few takers right here. Denny Hamlin, I guess, is finally going to come down and repair that nose. Well, it's been announced, you know, speaking of Denny Hamlin, him and Michael Jordan will own 2311 Racing. Bubba Wallace will be the driver in the 23 car, debut next year at the Daytona 500. So I like that emotion of I really want to get these guys a good run, maybe even a win as we see the tape work on the 11, Jeff.
Yeah, these guys coming down pit road. I think this is a smart move right here. I know they don't want to get back in traffic again, but if you're going to fix a problem, you're better off getting on pit road, understanding exactly what you have, getting a game plan together. You can see Marty, how much damage there is on that nose. A little worse than I thought it was.
Yeah, I was going to say probably a little more damage than everyone thought on both sides of that front end. Meanwhile, his championship rival, Kevin Harvick, on pit road. This could not have worked out better for the 4 team. They got the free pass. Now they can really massage that right front and the right rear as well. Rodney Childers did ask Kevin Harvick, how was the car? He said, honestly, I never ran it hard enough to let you know. So really just kind of working on that body. That's it. Meanwhile, left side of your screen, Denny Hamlin's team trying to get those 2 nose holes fixed up. And that could be a big swing here in this race at Texas.
30 seconds here.
After everything that has happened, the 42, the 43 out of this race. And right now, Denny Hamlin has scored 16 points below the cut line.
Texas Motor Speedway.
Well, it seems as though it has been Groundhog Day here over and over and over. Here's what the one had to say about how this is going.
All right, let's try this again. And again. And again. Yeah, 10 more, buddy. All right, we'll get going again here.
At least you can be a little bit lighthearted with what's happening already. Is field working their way through 3 and 4. They'll be coming up on the Geico restart zone. And once again, it's Clint Boyer and this time Eric Jones making up row 1. Boyer and Martin Truex Jr. actually up front. Eric Jones decided to follow the 14 down to the bottom on the choose rule. Joey Logano in the 22 on the outside of row 2.
Truex picked that outside lane. That's going to give him an advantage down this back straightaway. We'll get a big run. Let's see if he pinches the 14 off.
He stays in that quarter panel, tries to pull the 14 back, Jeff.
Yeah, Clint up the racetrack a little bit. What's Eric Jones going to do? He's going to push Clint Boyer. That should be a little bit of an advantage to Clint. Here comes Joey to push Martin.
Just a reminder that 19 operating from the back of the field and without his crew chief as he wiggles up the racetrack and loses the lead. His crew chief was sent home after a technical inspection issue with the rear spoiler. Blake Harris, the car chief, on top of the pit box for the 19.
Martin Truex, he just could not get his car to stick right there. Was trying to take the lead from Clint Boyer. Just could not have to find the grip on the outside.
All the way up to second for Martin Truex Jr. He's definitely the biggest mover in this race. Marty?
Hey, Rick, had a chance to talk to James Small this morning, who is obviously back in Huntersville, North Carolina at JGR headquarters, and he said, you know, I don't think it's maybe the worst thing in the world I'm not at the track. I am here getting ready for Martinsville. I'm able to lay eyes on my Martinsville car, and I'm able to focus on it. He said, certainly didn't want the suspension. We pushed the rules too far. But for me to be at the shop and everyone else to still be at Texas, I think that's a good thing.
And a guy who's made up 30 spots already We'll take a look at the Toyota driver update for Martin Truex Jr. right now running in the second position.
I don't know if the competition wants to give Martin Truex Jr. any more time to prepare for Martinsville. He's won the last 2 races there. James Small is going to get a little extra attention to that car.
Well, they're going to need the attention because I'm not going to say label it as a must-win, but it's getting close to a must-win with that 20-point penalty. Even running second, he's still sitting at 25 points out below the cut line. So 25 is possible if he doesn't win here today in one race, Jeff, but he would need a lot of help. You're not just going to outrun somebody 25 points. They're going to have some sort of issue, a wreck or mechanical.
Let's go on board with Martin Truex Jr. Let's go for a lap at Texas Motor Speedway and show you why this racetrack is so challenging. This end of the racetrack, a reconfiguration several years ago. A lot of banking out of the racetrack, all the way out of the gas. Right? See how much he's working on the gas, off the gas? Very difficult corner. Very low grip. Now as he drives into turn 3, watch the throttle indicator. Wide open, never lifted. Why does he not have to lift? Because the car drives so much better on that end of the racetrack. So if you're going to build a winning race car, you better make it drive well. Down here in 1 and 2. Right here, all the way out of the gas. On the brake. This end of the racetrack is where the race will be won, Steve.
Yeah, 1 and 2 is definitely the place where you have to handle as you're riding on board with Martin Truex Jr. Another crazy thing to watch is I've been watching Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick in the back of the field. They're almost working together, trying to recover through traffic right here. Truex, that wide open is just so unbelievable. And I think that's what makes this end even harder now, Jeff, because you're carrying max speed into the lowest grip end, right? 183 miles an hour. It's really easy to kind of get pulled into attacking this corner almost too much.
Well, it's the strangest entry of any corner in racing, in my opinion. It's so wide. When they lowered the banking, when they took banking angle out of it, they did it by adding racetrack to the bottom. Look there, we got some debris on the racetrack.
Debris on the track. We'll see. NASCAR is probably going to see that. Obviously, it's way out of the groove, and the caution has come out.
Well, out of the groove, but moving. Yeah. The camera was a concern, and it looked, I want to call that like a piece of bumper bar or something off one of these cars with damage. I don't know, it's hard to see. Maybe not a full bumper, but a bumper support, something. 180 miles an hour, you don't want to hit it.
So the caution has come out once again. It's the 5th caution of this race. 5 different drivers have been out front. Clint Boyer for 29 laps, Kevin Harvick for 28. There you see that piece of debris.
I can't tell what it is, but you don't want to hit anything at this speed.
Yeah, I think that this caution is again an advantage to the 11 and the 4, right? Kevin Harvick has caught some breaks right here. They had trouble on Sunday, made contact. They got the red flag. They've been able to get on pit road. They've gotten numerous cautions. I think all of that has worked to his advantage so far.
Yeah, it was fascinating as you were talking about 1 and 2, riding on board with Truex and talking about how important that end of the racetrack was. I won't tell you, but that 4 looked really good and patient around the white line, which doesn't surprise me. That's Kevin Harvick's kind of MO, Rick. Those low grip corners, you think about 1 and 2 at Atlanta, 1 and 2 here, just patient around the bottom.
Well, he's been patient, and we're still working on finishing up stage 1. Drivers hoping to find themselves in SpeedyCash.com victory lane later tonight. And speaking of which, Speedy Cash has made a $100,000 donation to the Texas chapter of Speedway Children's Charity. So if you'd like to support the children, please go to the URL that was on your screen. Marty?
And you guys were talking about Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin coming up through the field. Boy, they certainly have made things perfect for Kevin Harvick here early on. The caution's kind of falling the way they need to. They've made repairs to the car. He restarted the last car on the lead lap, has driven his way up to 21st. So this serves notice to everybody, Parker. If Harvick's out of your fantasy lineup, you might want to put him back in.
Yeah, well, one driver that was leading the way for most of that run for Kevin Harvick was Denny Hamlin in that 11 car, picking through the field. They were almost doing it in tandem, and then just at the end there, Harvick showed a lot of speed, was able to get by Denny. Denny has been quiet on the radio. They said they're not going to pit under this caution. They don't feel any need to continue to fix that damage on the 11 car and assess it as they go forward.
When we talked with Denny Hamlin earlier, he talked about focus. These playoff drivers have to remain focused, and you can see it in their eyes. Getting ready for the restart here at Texas when we return.
Grab an ice cold Coke and buckle up. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
And it's NASCAR Cup Series playoffs on NBCSN. Autotrader EchoPark Automotive 500 here at Texas Motor Speedway. Steve, you talked earlier about the fans and how Eddie Gossage, president here, had really wanted to give them something special for sticking it out here on this Wednesday rescheduled race.
He said all these fans that are here, when they scan in, they know who they are. They can contact them, and these are the Texas hardcore fans. They're going to be contacted. They're going to be given pit passes for the All-Star race here next June. And then NASCAR heard about that, said, you know what, Eddie, we think that's a great idea. We're going to upgrade them. So now it's not just pit passes, it's going to be hot passes. That'll give these fans garage access. So these hardcore fans that came back on a Wednesday to cheer on their driver, whether it's Kyle Busch there in some M&M's gear or whoever it may be, they're going to get some free passes with some garage access. Look at them,
I think they
cheering.
just found out.
I like it. I like
They're
it.
listening to you, Steve.
I like
They're
it.
listening
Cheer
to
loud,
you.
free passes. Everybody likes free stuff.
Let's go to Marty.
Love seeing those fans in the stands. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick, a moment ago, Rodney Childers said, hey, do you feel like the car is good enough to drive up through the field? And Harvick replied, quote, it's plenty good enough to drive up through the field. It's a lot of confidence in the forecamp with all those repairs they've made to the right side. And also real quick on Kurt Busch, guys, they have been dealing with an overheating issue. He's made several stops since we've gone back under caution and back to green here, but he is 29th now. They pitted once again under this caution to try and fix that overheating issue.
Today's aerial coverage brought to you by Geico, looking down on a dry Texas Motor Speedway. We haven't seen that for 4 days, so it's good to see. And now Clint Boyer, he'll be on the inside. Martin Truex Jr. on the outside once again for the restart. Eric Jones, Joey Logano once again making up row 2.
So remember, we saw Truex Jr. on the outside of the last restart. It didn't work out for him. He could have followed Clint, decided to try it again. See if he can make it work this time.
Field back in the hands of the 14 of Clint Boyer.
Oh, the 22 is right on the rear bumper of the 19. You're going to see the 19 surge ahead.
Clint Boyer stays right on his door as they work through 1 and 2.
I think this end of the racetrack they're coming to now, I think Martin feels much better about the outside lane down here. Yeah, got those right sides on that traction compound. Stuck that time. He's got a little forward momentum down the front straightaway. This is the end of the racetrack where he wants to get right on that door of the 14 car. Pull the air off that spoiler.
Martin Truex Jr. actually.
Yep, there was. See the little wiggle from the 14 car. But Martin way up the racetrack. Go again, trying to get it right on that door. Martin Truex Jr. just trying so hard to pull the air off the back of that 14 car. Now, where's Eric Jones going to go? He's going to decide to push Clint Boyer. That really pushes Clint out in front of Martin right here. Big advantage right there for Clint. You can see what happened right there with the air 3 wide behind him. How that air just pushed Clint Boyer out in front of Martin.
The 19 and 20 with Joe Gibbs Racing. And we saw Eric give that 14 a shove to get him up front. Marty.
And guys, Truex really wants to make that work in 1 and 2. You saw him on the outside of Boyer, as you were describing, Jeff. But he said in 1 and 2, he's just too loose. And you can kind of see that a couple of times. And then also in 3 and 4, a little bit loose. But 1 and 2 is where it's worse.
Yeah, Marty, I think that's going to be the case all day. I think 1 and 2 is just going to be where all of your handling issues are.
Hardly out of the gas at all through 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think you would, guys. Somebody you need to keep your eye on is right here, Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney, so disappointed they didn't advance into the playoffs, further into the rounds in the playoffs. They have been fast. They've been fast all year long. I think Ryan Blaney is a guy that can make some noise in these last 3 races.
Ryan Blaney eliminated out of the round of 16, that first round. Penske this year, 8 wins between the 3 drivers. 4 for Brad Keselowski, 3 for Joey Logano, and 1 for Ryan Blaney.
See Jimmy Johnson trying to work on the inside of Matt DiBenedetto. 24 right behind him. A lot of news came out this weekend. We mentioned Kyle Larson already. Well, some more news. William Byron's new crew chief for 2021 was announced. Rudy Fugle will be coming over from Kyle Busch Motorsports. Byron and Rudy have some time together. They've won races together. They have a history. I actually really like this decision. From what I understand, William had an opportunity to voice his opinion. Chad Knaus has an opportunity. He's moving up to run the competition side. I think that's the key, right? If those 2 individuals feel that's the right guy, then he's going to be just fine. But excited to see someone get to be what I consider promoted from the Truck Series up to the Cup Series. It's promoted on opportunity, and Rudy, it's promoted on pressure. Have fun. It's going to be a blast, and I think he's getting a heck of a driver. William Byron really impressed me this year. Yeah, a lot of big news coming out of Hendrick Motorsports, especially today. Earlier, it was announced that Kyle Larson would drive the number 5 car. It will be brought back for Hendrick Motorsports in the 2021 season, again, after being suspended for using a racial slur during an iRacing event earlier in the year. NASCAR has reinstated him as of 2021, so January 1st, 2021. It was announced today Hendrick Motorsports would have him behind the wheel of the number 5 next season, and right now there has not been a sponsor announced with that number 5. Dale Earnhardt Jr. wasn't with us today and isn't with us today because he was actually taping the Dale Jr. download that will be with special guest Kyle Larson tomorrow night. That will air at 9 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, I saw a clip of it, and Rick Hendrick as well. So it's Kyle Larson and Rick Hendrick. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'll tell you, some interest right now is, as we watch this battle right here, that 4 of Kevin Harvick, he is working his way up. You can see him on the left-hand side of your screen, currently 16th, working on Kyle Busch for 15th. Jimmy Johnson right back here behind Logano. So much success at this racetrack, so many racetracks he's had great success at. So I mentioned Kevin Harvick. There he is on the inside of Kyle Busch. That's pinned in right now behind the 41 and the 2. Hard to believe we're talking Kyle Busch. Here we are. I know it's big news. He was eliminated from the playoffs, but every time we talk to Kyle, he talks about winless streak, winless streak, winless streak, because he just tagged the wall a bit there. That was high off the corner. I'm not sure how much damage it was. He has yet to go winless in his Cup Series career. Any season he has been in the Cup Series full-time, he has won. Currently winless with only the finish of this race, Martinsville and Phoenix left. That's a big point for the 18 of Kyle Busch to try to go to victory lane.
Yeah, one thing you're seeing right here, too, is Kyle Busch using that second lane. And look how it's working. That second lane is starting to come in turns 1 and 2. Kyle's going to give, try to make it 3 wide right here. See what happens. Somebody's got to lift. Brad Keselowski.
Jeff, you see
bad spot right there. Yeah, Harvick said, I'm taking it.
Yeah, he turned left. He saw 3 wide. He turned left at the end of the backstretch. He goes, oh, I'm going to fill that hole. I know there's going to be one.
But Brad, he cannot afford to go 3 wide. He's in these playoffs. He can't afford to wreck this early, Parker.
And he's really struggling inside that 2 car right now, Jeff. He restarted up in the 8th position, but falling all the way back to 16th and fighting to hold on to 15th there on the outside of Kevin Harvick. Just reporting the car is getting way too loose as the track takes rubber. It's building free and freer, and I think he's running that higher lane just to try and counteract that a little bit, but it's allowing these cars to get the inside when he puts them in a vulnerable position.
Yeah, Parker, and Brad has not been good here. No stage points at all in the last 3 races at Texas. This has been a struggle for Brad Keselowski, and it's continued today as well. As we're looking also, guys, at the top 10, only 2 playoff drivers. I know Logano is a playoff driver, but he's already in the next round because he won last week. But only 2 are in the top 10. And Chase Elliott just got by Austin Dillon for 8th place. Very unusual to see the top 10 coming to the end of the stage not full of playoff drivers.
It's been an unusual weekend and week, hasn't it, Jeff?
Yes, it has.
Year.
2020, buddy. See, Harvick went to the outside lane right there. trying to make it work. Brad Keselowski stayed on the bottom. Harvick trusting that outside, works in 3 and 4.
This right here is just nothing that Denny Hamlin wants to see who's behind this group. You talk about high nerves. They're too wide, dicing it up. Kurt Busch right behind him, a playoff car. The 11 of Denny Hamlin right behind him. He's already missed a couple accidents. He don't want to have to miss another one. And more concerning, perhaps, is the fact that he is behind them. We see Kevin Harvick has moved through this group. Denny Hamlin in this 11 car, you know, no reason to panic yet, but I'm a little surprised he hasn't been able to keep pace with Kevin Harvick through traffic.
Right now, guys that aren't in a position to get any stage points: Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, outside of the top 15 right now. Marty.
Meanwhile, 8 to go in the stage, and when Clint Bowyer took the lead on Sunday, guys, yes, Sunday, through some pit strategy, he has not given it up. He has now led 49, coming to 50 laps here. So, Steve, I think that certainly sends a signal to all the crew chiefs on pit boxes. They got to make a decision here in 7 laps. You're going to opt for track position, I'm willing to bet, as a crew chief, Steve, because you've seen what Bowyer can do, and Truex, who's come from the back, has not been able to pass Bowyer. So that clearly sends a sign that track position is going to be the key moving forward.
Well, we knew track position was going to be important before we ever got here this weekend, before the rains ever came. I think the rain has actually taken away a little bit of the value, the cold weather of that darker second lane. That's what made the 14 even more successful holding this position. And let's not forget, we've talked a lot of storylines. Clint Bowyer has announced he's going to join our friends over there at Fox in the broadcast booth starting next year at the Daytona 500. So he only has a limited number of races as well. He wants to go to victory lane. I know he wanted to do it last week at Kansas, but I know Clint pretty well, and I don't think he really cares at this point. A win is a win. But my big concern for Clint is if he was able to pull off a Wednesday win, I'm not sure he'd make a Sunday Martinsville. That'd be a short amount of time for the Clint Bowyer celebration.
He's been leading this race for 73 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, how about back in the field a little bit? How about John Hunter Nemechek? Sitting here running 11th, running in front of Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, Cole Custer, Kevin Harvick, Keselowski, big names in the sport. John Hunter Nemechek has had a strong rookie season. A lot of times not the results they wanted, but John Hunter Nemechek has put this 38 car much further up in the field than most people thought it could go.
And how difficult has it been on this rookie class because no practice this year?
So difficult with no practice and overperforming. So we haven't talked a lot about the rookie battle because of Custer's win and advancement into the playoffs. He kind of sealed up the rookie of the year the way the point system worked. But until that win, it was like a toe-to-toe heavyweight battle of the brand new drivers. We saw, and I'll be honest, I knew Reddick was going to be in there. I think we all knew Bell was going to be in there. We all knew Custer was going to be in there. John Hunter's the one I think surprised us all. I personally didn't give him his due early in the year, and he continued to show up. He's doing it once again. But a great crop of rookies this year for sure, Rick, as we see Bowyer move in the inside of lap traffic.
Yeah, lap traffic's going to make it play a role today. So look what Martin Truex Jr. did that lap. He changed his entry, made a big arc into turn 1, got in real slow. Tons of momentum on Clint. Clint Smith, a big block. Truex loose into 3.
What a block.
Yeah, trying to win stage 1, and Clint Bowyer saw the move by Martin Truex Jr., went down, stopped it, and now just 2 laps to go in stage 1.
And now the concern for Truex is he went from offense to defense. Now with 2 laps to go, 3, 4, 5 points, and positions are lined up behind him. I know he's thinking a must-win as Jimmy Johnson slides up out of the groove, but he really needs to finish second, get as many points as he can.
Truex entered 3 so low. And when he did, he almost wrecked that race car.
One lap to go in stage 1. And again, points paid at the end of stage 1 and stage 2.
Well, Clint Bowyer has a little bit of gap in this final lap, and this is why. Here's the block on board with Martin Truex Jr. He gets a run. He keeps moving left. Bowyer keeps, look at the solid white line. That's the bottom of the backstretch. He enters so straight. And a lap car on the outside, Jeff, that could have been catastrophic for the 19. I know we lost time, but a great job not making it worse.
Yeah, he was hanging on. Clint Bowyer going to make it happen here, though.
Wins his 4th stage of 2020 and first at Texas. Clint Bowyer gets the green and white checkered flag. Well, it's taken a little over 72 hours, but a checkered flag has flown here at Texas. It's the end of stage 1, and it's Clint Bowyer, all smiles. The official app of NASCAR. It delivers an all-new AR racing experience for the playoffs. You can search NASCAR in your app store and download for free to start playing today. Take a look at stage 1 results and mention points being paid in the top 10. And Martin Truex Jr., who needs points so that he doesn't go to Martinsville with a must-win situation. Chase Elliott grabbed 4, Joey Logano 3, so all playoff drivers there in yellow getting a few points. But you see all the other drivers that aren't in yellow, and we mentioned a little bit strange seeing this. The best 8 drivers with 3 races to go in the season aren't dominating the top 10.
I don't know how you look at this, but if I'm James Small, I'm selling to myself that, well, we lost 20 points, we gained 9 back right there. I'm going to try to convince myself that we're going to get back our penalty through the stages. You know, Marty reported about track position, and, you know, my calculator up here had to go to the battery version. The solar version doesn't want to work with all these clouds, and there is a bit of a you know, the race is so long, 227 laps to go at this point. The next stage still 105 laps, so this is one of the more difficult races to kind of back up and say, all right, I want to pit here and here and here, and I know I'm going to cycle to the front because you're so many pit stops out. You could go, you know, a little over 60 laps on fuel. With so far to go in the race, you just wonder, you know, at what point do you start worrying about how much fuel you need and, you know, how many tires, fresh tires you have in your car.
Steve, I always thought you called your calculator rust, but maybe I'm wrong there. We want to take a look. It's not this week, obviously, because it's Wednesday, but next Wednesday, it will be Dale Jarrett who will be the guest on NBC Sports on Sirius XM. That's NASCAR Radio Channel 90. Jeff Burton there this morning to be a part of that broadcast. But again, Dale Jarrett will be there next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Again, talking about Martinsville and how it had just ended and getting ready for the Phoenix race, which is coming up quickly.
Yes.
Parker.
Hey guys, we see the whole field come down here, including Joe Logano's going to pit out of the 8th position. Right at the end of that stage, he was reporting that the car was getting very tight. He thought he may even had a tire going down or coming apart. So I'll take a look at that when they are able to get it off the 22 car and boosting it up, Marty.
Parker Clint Boyer led the final 59 laps of stage 1 to get the win. He said the car fell off way too much. It was too tight as the track gripped up. Meanwhile, Martin Truex Jr. did not like that block by Boyer. He said that was way too close. He said a few more laps that would have gotten them. They're going with 4 fresh Goodyear tires here as well. 2 free and 1 and 2 was Truex's biggest complaint. And Alex Bowman, no tires on that stop, Riggs. He wins the race off pit road.
You mentioned how important that track position was going to be. Well, Bowman and Bell both playing a little strategy to get up front. Tomorrow night, Dale Jr. Download has Kyle Larson in the big news taking place. Here's a sample.
I've asked you to come on the show many months ago. I know you've been busy doing a lot of things, racing. I guess you are officially reinstated?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, officially.
I think our country's all about second chance. And people want to give you a second chance if you've shown that you changed. And I think that's the key. That, you know, are you just saying it or do you really mean it?
Right after I got suspended, there was a lot of, you know, emotions and thoughts and questions, you know, in the very beginning of like, what's my life going to be like now?
Well, help us become better people. Like, what have you, like, what specifically have you taken away and learned from it?
What I've learned a lot, obviously, is that, you know, words matter and you know, accountability matters. Apologizing for your mistakes matters. Treating others with people with respect matters. Right off after it happened, you know, I mean, I think instantly it changes you. But then as you educate yourself more, it definitely continues to change you. And you know, I don't plan on stopping. I've never wanted it to be a check the box thing.
Again, Dale Jr. Download. That's 9 Eastern tomorrow night. You'll definitely want to tune into that. But the big news earlier today, Kyle Larson signed to a multi-year deal to drive the number 5 for Hendrick Motorsports next year. So the big announcement for the 28-year-old, he's going to be the oldest driver in the Hendrick Motorsports stable. They average 26 years old, so a lot younger organization now for Hendrick Motorsports. As we get ready for the green flag coming back out here to start stage 2, and mentioned Bowman, a little bit of a gamble. Clint Boyer up front as well. Big shove there coming from the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. to the back of Alex Bowman. Has him out front comfortably. Now the fight is for second.
Alex Bowman led this race early, way back on Sunday. If you can remember that far ago, he led 17 laps. So I think his car has pretty decent speed as they're stacked up behind him.
With these cold temperatures, Steve, I know we've talked numerous times about the PJ1, that traction compound. It almost takes a little heat to activate it. With these cold temperatures, is that why we're not seeing anybody even venture up into it yet, because it's just not been warmed up yet?
Well, that, and I don't know if it's still there. You got to remember, we've had jet dryers and air titans on this track for 3 straight days, blasting and blowing, as we see the 12 with a big block on the 20 of Jones. So I asked myself, you know, while it's a different color up there, is the sticky stuff still there? Has it been washed off the racetrack? I'm not sure we're going to ever know unless we see it start to dominate the groove.
We heard Martin Truex Jr. really frustrated about that block that Clint Boyer threw on him at the end of stage 1. Well, now he's getting frustrated because Boyer is hanging on that right rear quarter panel, pulling the air off that car, making Truex's car drive bad.
He's trying to make sure he doesn't get past. It's 3 wide. Ryan Blaney was on the inside. That puts Martin Truex Jr. back. And now the fight for second is between Blaney and Boyer.
Blaney got a huge run, Jeff, and the 19 had nothing to do but just concede the spot.
Yeah, 2 cars side by side create such a draft for that guy behind them.
And the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. looked like he was going to try to make it 3 wide. Blaney saw it, dove down in front of him, said, nope, not yet.
And Martin's getting more frustrated and more frustrated.
So another big run by the 19 here. Where will he go when he comes out on the front stretch?
A run right here with the 14 car. I think if you Truex, you almost got to go with the 14. Oh, that's why the 48's underneath Martin.
Here comes Jimmy Johnson.
And Blaney's going to clear Clint right here. And Jimmy cleared Martin. How about Jimmy Johnson?
Jimmy Johnson.
3 races left.
Yeah, up to 4th. He's going IndyCar racing next year with Chip Ganassi Racing for the road course races.
And he's not scared. He just jumped right up there in that PJ1 on the outside lane there, traction compound. Now, another block by Blaney. Boyer can't complain, right?
Well,
he put the big block on Martin.
Here comes Jimmy Johnson, looking to take that spot away as well.
Lots of hard racing early in the stage.
Well, watch Truex here. I'm sure he's not going to follow the 14 or cut the 14 any breaks. After the big block on the backstretch, he says, nope, I'm going to push the 48 right here.
And when you guys say push the 48, he never really got to his bumper, but there's always that bubble that we've talked about.
Oh, Clint just lost his car right there, Clint. You see him completely out of the picture. Not sure if he got loose or tight, but lost a lot of ground right there.
Guys, I tell you, you talk about the sticky stuff, you talk about the cool, I talked about the jet dryers. Another thing the jet dryers did is wash every bit of rubber off the racetrack. So as we talk about track position, the challenge for the crew chief is it isn't just stay out, stay out, stay out. You have to manage your fuel. You also have to manage tire wear. We're seeing some pretty heavy left side tire wear on these set of tires that come off pit road, Marty.
And Steve, for an example of that, let me present to you the left front off of Clint Boyer's car from the last stop. And if you see a tire that comes off like this, Steve, I'm assuming immediately you're telling your driver, hey, that was probably a little bit longer than we want. Yeah, great point by you. It's easy to say let's stay out or let's take 2 tires, but when you see a tire like this, Parker, I think that makes everyone on the team a little worried.
It does, Marty, and actually Joe Logano, as I reported at the end of stage 1, was reporting that he felt like he had a right front issue. Well, when he came down pit road, we looked at the tires, turns out same issue as Clint Boyer. You see the outside of that left front. Now for Joe Logano, he went the entirety 105 laps of that first stage on those left side tires. They had only changed rights 1 time, but even his teammate Brad Keselowski, who took 4 tires under the competition caution on Sunday, had that same left front wear, so definitely concerning for a lot of these crew chiefs.
Parker, we were listening in just a little while ago to Joey Logano on his radio. This is what they had to say.
Yeah, the left front corded, gone, nothing left there. That's why you got tight. Good to know. Thank you. Some other cars on pit road, same way. I mean, obviously the lefts are high wearing and it was a green track, so they're being bad this time, I would think.
Great information about Paul Wolf. You know, his driver was concerned about the right front. Texas is a track we have seen right front issues over the decades we've raced here. Hey, Facts. This is what happened. You wore the left front tire out, quartered. Didn't sugarcoat it. Gone, he said. You see very calm Joe Logano. Hey, good to know. Now I understand. They both agree it's going to get better as we run. Just a perfect example of your driver crew chief being on the same page, which is amazing since this is their first year together, but it sounds like they're already dialed right in. Parker.
Well, guys, we look at Alex Bowman here at the front of the field. As you mentioned, he had a very fast car when we first started this race. On Sunday, leading laps, but I spoke to Greg Eyes, and I said, as they went back to pack, what do you feel like you'll have? He said, that's the key. When we were up front, we had the speed. We're not sure we'll have that speed when we get back to pack, and sure enough, they didn't. They were mired back in the teens, so they pitted on lap 78, took 4 tires, and did fuel only on this last stage break, and that got them to the front, trying to get a bit of that track position, Marty.
In second, Ryan Blaney. And when I talked to his crew chief, Todd Gordon, he said, you know, yes, in July, we had the best car here, but we had the best car because we had the best handling car, and it was 95 degrees. Now it's 45 degrees, so I don't know how it's going to be. We're really set up to handle more than we are to be trimmed out and have all this speed in the cold weather. And Steve, you know that makes all the difference in the world in this 550 package. You come to mile-and-a-half racetracks, trimmed out versus handling. Todd Gordon wasn't sure what they would have today. Clearly, they still have pretty good speed.
Yeah, weather affects it so much, Jeff. And one guy that I think likes a lot of grips, the 4 of Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick, he's been running this second lane in 1 and 2, kind of breaking even with Austin Dillon. The one car gains a little bit on him every lap, then Kevin gets a big run down the back straightaway and is much faster than these guys in 3 and 4. Look at the ground he makes up down the back straightaway and into 2 and through 3 and 4. Watch it, let's follow along as he goes into turn 1. He's not been able to keep pace in 1 and 2. He's been really fast in 3 and 4, but let's see if he does it again. That time, the 3 got messed up a little bit with the 9, but just not the speed in 1 and 2 that he has in 3 and 4 right now.
And Jeff, a lot of the spotters further up front are talking about how Harvick is starting to straddle the sticky stuff on the racetrack, and maybe that other driver should consider moving up. Harvick clearly creating speed, and his left front, much like Clint Boyer's when it came off, had that cording that we saw, but this is a terrific battle up there for the 7th and 6th position.
Yeah, this time Kevin Harvick gets underneath Austin Dillon. Austin right on that door, pulling the air off of his car.
Well, we've had to wait for quite some time, but it's a beautiful Wednesday edition of Cup Series Racing here on NBCSN as we go NASCAR nonstop. Bowman out front here at Texas, but this weekend coming up, both races, Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, will be on NBC. Short track racing, and we have seen some crazy things happen at Martinsville.
I would expect more of that. Xfinity cars back to Martinsville. Hadn't been there in a long time. They got a crazy point battle, the same as Cup. So some good short track racing this coming weekend.
Bowman has about a 2-car length lead right now over Blaney. Steve, these guys, will they try to split it in half? Fuel-wise, they can go, what, 60 laps?
They can go about 60 laps, so you might be able to split it in half. I assume the 88 on no new tires will be on the front side. He'll be one of the first cars to pit road. He'll be hearing about,
the 51 goes around, and he'll tag the outside wall. And so Joey Gase, behind the wheel of the 51, gets into the wall and brings out the caution. As quickly as we were talking about making stops, he was running 33rd.
And these are these odd, timely yellows that make a crew chief sweat because they're outside their fuel window, 76 laps to go.
Like it might have been a pretty hard hit. Get it in here. Bring it right in here.
There's a radio with a 51 right here. So now you ask yourself, you know, what's your goal? Are you looking ahead? Are you looking behind? You've run 23 laps, so it's not like it was a short run, but we're getting ready to see really quickly what strategy and plan these guys have.
Cruz getting ready up on the wall.
I think you just have to come get. You see this guy right here with the torch heating up the tires? That's something we don't talk about as much, cold tires. So what happens is the lug nuts, they get glued on with the silicone glue. Well, they get very, very brittle in cold temperatures. So that's great work. Small details. Heat it up a little bit with the torch. Make sure those don't pop off when you hang the tire on the hub. Let's take a look what happened to the 51, Jeff. Oh, it looks like he's really high, maybe top of a 3 wide.
Yeah, top of 3 wide. Looked like some contact right there. I can't make out who that car is.
I can't either. I don't want to miscall it. Oh, I can't hear. 24 William Byron. Crystal clear right in that shot.
And Christopher Bell, did he get some of that? Did he get damage in that?
You see right here, the whole field comes down pit road. Parker.
All right, guys, we see everyone wants to come down, including Jimmy Johnson. At top of your screens be left side tires for him as well. The middle of your screen, Alex Bowman, just left side tires for him as well, Marty.
And you see Ryan Blaney, fuel only. The call as Alex Bowman has trouble getting off pit road. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has to stop for him. You saw that in the middle of the screen. Fuel only for Blaney, who said, we're better than him, meaning Bowman, I just need to get around him. So Todd Gordon answering that with fuel only on this stop, Rick.
Unfortunate there. We saw the 48, Jimmy Johnson, lost 7 spots because he killed it coming out of his pit stall. Unfortunate for the 88, came in the leader and lost a lot of spots, Steve.
A lot of details when it comes to this chess match of track position. The 88 comes in the leader. You're going to see right here at the front of a long line of cars, comes in, has a great pit stop, Jeff, for left side tires. The issue, though, will be leaving the pit stall.
Yeah, so this is one of the problems with so many cars on the lead lap and doing 2 tires. As he goes to leave, crew chief saying stop, 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 stop. Had to tell him to stop. Wasn't sure what the 47 was going to do. Cost him 3 seconds. And that was multiple spots.
Yeah, great heads-up move by Ricky Stenhouse to lock the tires down. You know, that's just, those happen, right? So let's listen in what the 88 had to say.
Just so I know, did you stall it or stop? Well, I started to stop because he was coming in my mirror, and then I stalled it when I started to roll again. He was working with us there, so sorry, I should have communicated that. That was my fault.
Great information. Greg Ives asked, so Greg Ives knew in his mind the 47 is working with us. He's going to allow us to exit so you can come in. Unfortunately, Alex Bowman didn't know. So Alex, he is listening to his spotter, but looking in his mirror, and he sees the 47 coming, and he's thinking, he's going to end my day. He's going to drive into my right front fender. So he stops. I'm impressed by the driver of the 88, Jeff. He didn't have the information, and he made sure they stayed in the race, even though it cost him some spots.
Yeah, I don't know. I understand he did the safe thing, but there's a process, right?
Right.
Do what your crew chief tells you to do. If he's not telling you to stop, go.
Go, go, go. Normally is what they hear when they're getting ready to leave. Same thing right now as the green comes back out. Martin Truex Jr. on the outside, Ryan Blaney on the inside of row 1.
I learned an important lesson one day, Rick. Don't say whoa. Jeff Gordon said, you know, whoa sounds like go, and we were all wrecked in the second lane.
We'll see if Martin Truex Jr. can make this outside lane work. This is the 3rd time he started on the outside. Hasn't been able to get the lead from there yet.
How about the 3 of Austin Dillon back from the 2nd row? Made the playoffs. I would say overperformed and impressed in the 1st round. Was unable to continue through, but has done a nice job. Got a win this season. We're on board the roof for the Coca-Cola cam right here.
Yeah, his win came right here at Texas Motor Speedway.
He didn't mind waiting to Wednesday then, probably.
Not a surprise to see Austin Dillon up here inside the top 4 right now.
Imagine that, Clint Boyer and Martin Truex together again.
You don't think Truex is going to be wide, do you?
They're tired of seeing each other, I think.
Isn't that how it is, though, Jeff? The same people. You race with the same people, it seems like, every lap.
Marty.
Hey, Rick, you guys talking about Austin Dillon up there in the 4th position, and who won here in July? Remember we were at the RCR Command Center, and they have all that technology kind of helping the crew chiefs out. Well, that Command Center helped Austin Dillon win the race and helped them make the right calls. Well, the Command Center said fuel only on this last stop, and here they are up in the 4th position. So Dillon showing, hey, we've got speed as well as the right strategy right now, having a nice run.
Good year for RCR. Good speed. We've seen Tyler Reddick. I haven't heard as much about Tyler Reddick lately. He hasn't had the speed, but this 3-car brought a lot of speed to the playoffs. Much more than we saw during the regular season. See Austin Dillon making some sort of an adjustment, maybe a NACA adjustment, changing what that NACA does between turns 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, because 1 and 2 drive so different than 3 and 4. This time, both hands on the wheel. There he goes. There he goes.
No, he's got to adjust it. So I think what he's going to do is open the NACA duct, add some downforce to the race car right here, some side force for the handling end. You've told me that turn 1 and 2 is the most important end. That NACA duct is just an opening in the right side window where the air comes in. You're allowed to run a valve that opens and closes it, but it has to be manual. It can't be electronic. So you want to talk about old school adjustments? Here you go. Driving 2 hands like you're driving down the interstate. every straightaway, he reaches over like he's adjusting the radio, but he's got to reach over, find that duct without looking for it, opens it for this end, turns down to turn 1, a little more downforce. So think about this, 100, let's watch the speed. We're going to leave this corner at 163 miles an hour because he got tight, and he still has to remember to do that every lap.
Kyle Busch driving underneath him. He tried to make a gain on Clint Boyer in the middle of 3 and 1 and 2, and it just didn't work. Still taking the fight. The 18 car clears him.
Yeah, able to stay out, and now making that adjustment. And look at this, the 4's coming into play as well. Kevin Harvick right back here in the hunt.
Kevin's car just isn't like he wants it to be right now. Just can't make it stick. Kyle Busch giving him a lot of room right there. A lot of respect being given by Kyle Busch to Kevin Harvick in that situation.
You have to ask yourself, even as disappointed as Kyle Busch is, he made the championship 4 so many times. He knows what's on the line. And it's just his opportunity to kind of give that respect back, right, Marty? I'm going to give space because I've been given space when I had this chance.
Oh, Kyle knows exactly what this situation is like, and yes, he's going to give respect to everyone in the field, even though he certainly wants to win. You know what's funny, as you guys were watching the onboard camera with Austin Dillon kind of adjusting those NACA ducts, was watching Justin Alexander watch all that go down on TV. He was kind of laughing with his guys on top of the pit box. Sometimes, Steve, you don't want all the secrets given away inside the car, do you? And Justin was watching all that go down on national TV as driver adjusting the car every corner, every lap.
I tell you, Justin Alexander right there to the right side of your screen, his name is really moving up the list of crew chiefs that I feel deserve more credit than they get. When he gets paired with Austin Dillon, they continue to make the playoffs. They were paired together, then they were separated, and then they were put back together again. And once again, the 3 shows up in the playoffs. Wins races with Austin Dillon. I think that's a group that they believe in one another, they trust in one another, and if you just continue to give them time, I think they continue to improve.
We saw Kyle Busch make the pass on Kevin Harvick, so he was able to get back by Harvick, and now Kyle Busch running in that 5th position behind Austin Dillon.
When you talk about that issue with the 88, you know, he's making no ground because those spots he lost on pit road. Another driver that seems to be losing a spot here to the 95 is the one of Kurt Busch. Let's listen in.
This is 2 points vertical movement. Oh my gosh. Clean air versus dirty air. It's horrible.
So too much vertical movement. Jeff, that to me sounds like they don't have enough control in the suspension. In clean air, the car, I'm assuming, is pretty well pinned to the racetrack. In dirty air, the car feels like it's up out of the racetrack, doesn't have a lot of feel and grip. Sometimes, you know, there's 2 sets of adjustments. There's physical adjustments to literally add downforce, add grip, make the car go faster. But you have to do it in a way in which the driver has confidence to turn the wheel and put the pedals down. It sounds to me like it's a confidence issue with the 1 car, Jeff.
Yeah, when you start talking about vertical movement, that tells me that every time it runs through a bump, every time it hits something that's not smooth asphalt, the car moves around too much. And
listen, dude, you gotta drive what we got. We're gonna make it work here. You just keep working what you got. Let's figure it out. We'll adjust on the next stop.
That's a crew chief telling you, I hear you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I don't have that adjustment right there. Parker.
Well, guys, just ahead of that right there is that beautiful 95 car of Christopher Bell, that red car, the gray on the side. This is a tribute to Levine Family Racing's first ever start in the Cup Series back in 2011, designed by the late Sam Bass. And it's a tribute because obviously earlier this year it was announced, there you see it on the right being driven there. I think, you know, it was announced earlier this year that they would not be returning to the Cup Series. They'd be shutting that team down, Levine Family Racing. So a little bit of a tribute to when they first got into the Cup Series.
Hate to see those guys leaving the series. Been very committed to this series. This is a few races left for them. Good battle here at the front. Martin Truex Jr. has closed the gap. He's been running this 2nd lane in 1 and 2, starting to build confidence.
Entering a little bit higher there through 3 and 4.
I love the onboard. You can hear the throttle. You can hear what Truex is trying to do.
Good run.
Time this run is his big issue.
Yeah, so this big run, you just said it, Rick, big run. But now they get down here and they got to come all the way out of the throttle, right? And where are you going to go? So he's trying to get this 2nd lane to fire. Every lap, it seems like it gets a little bit better, starting to make that work. See, Blaney's going to have to answer it and go to that 2nd lane.
Is this going to be reminiscent of what we saw at Kansas between Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick, where Logano would just stay right in front of Harvick the whole time? Is that what Blaney's doing with Truex?
Well, it's reminiscent because the physics are the same. Jeff, let's talk about what's happening between these two cars right here as we see the 19 move up the racetrack. The aero advantage. Let's talk about this downforce with this big spoiler. As the air comes over the lead car, it creates a big wake. That's an advantage. That's a draft. That's what Truex is doing to get close to the 12 car. But the issue is the air behind the lead car, Jeff.
Yeah, the air behind the lead car creates a vacuum, and it just does not make enough downforce. However, when you get close enough, you start to gain draft, and you start gaining on that car in front of you, but you actually then push that car in front of you like there's a beach ball between the trailing car and the leading car. So that big spoiler creates an advantage for the guy in the back down the straightaway, but a disadvantage in the corners.
So just listen, this is the issue. So let's talk about the whole concept. Less less power, so you run wide open through 3 and 4. That makes the draft work. How do you make the draft work? That big billboard, that big spoiler. Look how big it is. You can't even see the top 3 or 4 inches. They're Lexan. That spoiler, the 12, is huge. Well, now you get to this end down here. The 19 wants that clean air. He's going to turn lower. He might get to the quarter panel. If he does, it'll be game over for Blaney. This is what Harvick couldn't do a week ago. He couldn't get to the quarter panel of Logano. You see what happens if you can pull it off. There you go. Martin Truex Jr., new leader.
He made the pass, and Jeff, I asked you earlier, is there a way you can figure out how to time that? And was that the perfect timing for Martin Truex Jr. to push that 12 out so that he had to move up the racetrack?
It was a perfect timing, but you answered the question, your own question, a few laps before that. You said, is this the same thing as we saw last week? And Ryan Blaney needs to run the second groove to take the air from Martin Truex Jr. The difference here at this racetrack is that the turns 1 and 2 have such little grip that you still have to be able to handle well through there. When Blaney went up into the second lane, his car didn't drive very well. He got slow over there. Martin Truex Jr., old school, out-handled him, got his car where he needed to be, and that's why he was able to make that pass. And by the way, that 18 car is running these two guys down. Kyle Busch is the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
Kyle Busch is flying, but Jeff, I'm going to tell you what I just noticed right there, though, with that pass that happened, just gives me more appreciation for what Logano was able to pull off a week ago with Kevin Harvick hounding him lap after lap after lap, the race on the line. A tip of the hat to Joey Logano. The other thing is look at the left side in the points with the 19 being the leader. That puts pressure on Hamlin, the 9, the 2. Everything gets jumbled up with a new leader. It's just, you know, the style of racing has changed, but it's still racing. Your car still has to drive good, and the driver has to understand the air.
It's still showing the talent behind the wheel. That's what we're seeing as Martin Truex Jr. now leading in Texas. We go NASCAR nonstop. Today's aerial coverage brought to you by Geico for NASCAR Cup Series playoffs on NBCSN. It's the Autotrader, Autopark, EchoPark Automotive 500 from Texas Motor Speedway. Out front, Martin Truex Jr. Ryan Blaney running in that second spot, and closing the gap is the 18 of Kyle Busch. Lap traffic really coming into play, though. A difference in speed here.
A difference in speed and just a narrow groove. You know, you only have a couple options, and when the lap cars take one of them, you see how much you just hurt Kyle Busch right there. The 12 and the 19 cleared the lap traffic. The 18 did not. It's going to cost him probably 10 car lengths down the back straightaway.
Shot from Martin Truex Jr., this Toyota cam out the back bumper. Martin Truex Jr., you can see he's looking at that mirror, trying to understand if Blaney's catching him or not. I think down here 1 and 2, it's just you just drive your car wherever it drives the best. Don't worry about what the guy behind you is doing. Just put your car on older tires. Put your car where it needs to go the fastest. Down here 3 and 4. Just asking for some information. No response yet.
I just run a little bit longer than you did that last time through 1 and 2. Been running the same issue in 3 and 4.
Clayton Hughes, the spotter for Martin.
One advantage right now Martin Truex Jr. has. He has a big enough gap to Blaney. If he wanted to experiment a little bit and move around and try to find something that's better, he can do that right now. Because if it doesn't work, Blaney's not close enough to take advantage of it. So good opportunity for Martin to learn a little bit about his race car. It's things that you have to do through this whole race. It's a 500-mile race. You need to be learning the entire time. What does your car do in certain situations? What do I need to tell my crew chief my car does in those situations to make them better? Because you never know how this track's going to change throughout the night, Marty.
And Jeff, actually Clayton used the spotter that Rick mentioned is giving him Ryan Blaney's lap times right behind him, trying to see where Blaney might be catching him. On the left, Blake Harris, the man who's filling in for James Small, crew chiefing this weekend. Now, I'm going to make you guys a little jealous, if that's okay. See, Blake is from Texas. His parents live an hour south of the racetrack. So then Monday, when there was no racing that was going to happen, Blake drove home to his home and got a home-cooked meal from Mom, got his clothes washed by Mom. He spent 2 days at home actually hanging out with his parents. He said it was wonderful. I know you guys hit all the outlet malls trying to get all the clothes you could get to make this extended stay in Texas work. Blake Harris went home. So probably makes you guys a little jealous that he was able to drive home, get a home-cooked meal, and get his clothes laundered as well.
Well, Blake should be thankful I didn't know that, or I would have drove to his parents' house and done some laundry myself.
I thought this was my new home. Denny Hamlin struggling just a little bit. He's not been able to get up through the field like Kevin Harvick's been able to. Look at all the racing around. This crazy racing going on around Denny Hamlin, in front of him and behind him.
And you know, Jeff, when you think Denny Hamlin of Martinsville, in your mind you want to go to just an automatic win or an automatic great run. But he ran 24th there in the spring and ran just plainly bad. Just wasn't fast. I mean, you can make up all the excuses you want, but it wasn't a wreck, wasn't a mechanical issue. They were just bad. This is a track he averages inside a top 10. You know, when I talk to the team, I think they have a feeling on what the issue was, and they feel like they could correct it. But it's going to be a nervous week if he goes in close to the bubble heading into that short track.
Yeah, Denny's been complaining about a vibration this entire run. And Steve, I think if your driver has a vibration and you've seen those tires, how the left front has been wearing on some other cars, I think that makes you a little bit nervous.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you definitely got to get nervous. Let's ride aboard here with Denny Hamlin and just really listen to the driver and the difference between two ends of the racetrack.
There's something a little different. The sun.
I've seen that in a while.
I didn't even know what it was.
Man, listen, that's only going to make 1 and 2 worse, right? The warmer turns 1 and 2 get, the worse it's going to be on grip.
Parker.
Well, guys, we just saw that little bit of a lift into turn 1 and the counteraction, counter screen there by Denny Hamlin as he gets passed by Christopher Bell there in the 95. That has been his issue in that 11 car. It has been the entry of the corners being described as edgy or lacking security, which, as we all know as drivers, that is where the corner begins. That connects the whole corner. So when you can't turn in with confidence, that really hurts the rest of the corner. And that is what Denny Hamlin's fighting that 11 car, Martin.
And meanwhile, for Kevin Harvick, right now, he is going to come to pit road. He said, I have a vibration. And here he comes down pit road. He said, how many more laps in the stage left? To Rodney Childers. Rodney said, everyone is going to have to pit. If you think you have a vibration, let's come now. And we might start a sequence of everybody coming to pit road. 35 laps left to go in the stage. And Harvick called that coming off turn 2. Going to go with all 4 tires here for Kevin Harvick, just to make sure they catch anything that might really be a vibration for Harvick. But Harvick pitted from the 6th position and had been tight for much of that run. We'll check out these 50 tires that come off of the 4 car, Steve. And I'm wondering if you think this might start a cycle of everybody coming to pit road.
Well, that's the interesting note. Well, I think you have to see him go back on the racetrack and how much faster he goes. We haven't seen tires be a lot for speed, so I'm not sure if it's going to draw a lot of people to pit road. More importantly, I think I want to see that left front tire and see if that was the vibration or if it was something else. With 33 laps to go, Rick, I think these drivers can run another 20 laps, no problem, on fuel. So that's what we mean about, do they come to pit road now to try to match the chess game of before of Kevin Harvick? I don't think so. I don't think tires are going to pick up the pace.
Yeah, they've only been out there for 40 laps since the last time on pit road. Most pitted around lap 135, 136.
Denny Hamlin really struggling. I think that team in particular, Steve, will watch this 4 car, see what kind of pace they've got with these tires. If the 4 car is fast right here, that'll tell the entire field what tires are worth.
Well, the top 10, you know, the best cars are running 29 4s and 5s, maybe a few 7s. Kevin Harvick right there, first lap in the racetrack, only a 30-10. So he's going to have to get that thing wound up and see if it has any more speed, Marty.
And they did lose a lap in that process, Steve. Right now, 29th for Kevin Harvick. You check out the tires that came off. I don't see anything visible that would concern me. There, of course, there could have been a lug nut. That could have been an issue. And who knows what Harvick also might have been feeling otherwise behind the wheel. But no visible marks on the Goodyear tires to say that they were starting to cord or go bad.
No visible marks and no improvement on lap times. We see Kevin Harvick right there, still at 29.6, the leader of Truex 29.4. So there's no reason to pit early. You pit early at tracks where those fresh Goodyear tires pick you up a second and a half. You're gaining time. Kevin Harvick's not gaining time really on anyone at this point. He's just riding around a lap down. So the big hope for Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers, just make this thing go green until everybody has to pit. If we see a yellow, that would definitely hurt Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, wasn't able to pull the rest of the field to come onto pit road with him. We invite you now to the fast lane, brought to you by Coca-Cola. Denny Hamlin on the left side of the screen. We talked about struggling, maybe even a vibration possibility for the 39-year-old from Chesterfield, Virginia. Denny Hamlin right now 6 points above the cut line for that championship 4 spot. Let's hear from celebrity chef Robert Irvine with a special message from Coca-Cola.
I think there's always a bit of magic that happens when we can dine together. There's such a great sense of joy and fulfillment that comes from sitting around a table with friends, family, and our racing families. I was recently honored with an opportunity to cook for the guys of Coca-Cola racing team. And I gotta tell you, what a night. Huge steaks, sweet potato bread pudding, and of course, lots of ice-cold Coca-Cola. We talk food, we talk family, we swap tall tales from the kitchen and from the dirt track. I even picked up a few cooking tips. It was an evening that reminded me, as distracted as we all can be, the power of connecting over a meal, especially a home-cooked one, the more the merrier. So next time you're setting your table, grab a few extra chairs and Coca-Colas, because together tastes better.
Rick, I can't wait until I can invite you back over for a home-cooked meal. It's 2020.
We're closing in on it.
I'm telling you.
We're closing in on it.
I love this shot of Denny Hamlin because of the clear visor. Just look through that visor at his focus. He is out the windshield. Every once in a while he looks at a gauge right there or something down to the right. But you know, rarely do we get to see these athletes in their office and see everything they do. And this is just fascinating to me with just the amount of focus that Denny Hamlin has.
You mentioned the focus, Steve, but also I think concern. Right? I mean, they're sitting back here running in 13th place. This team is, they and Kevin Harvick, obviously, all year long, the best two teams. This is not what you expect to see from Denny Hamlin in the playoffs, and still under attack by other people. He is going the wrong way for sure with this run. I think there's some serious concern right now with this car.
Well, they're going to be tested, and you know, Denny Hamlin and Chris Gabehart have proven that this combination, I mean, their numbers, Rick, are they're outstanding. Yeah. What they have done together, back-to-back Daytona 500s. Listen, even with 148 laps to go in the race, I couldn't list all their accomplishments. It's so impressive. So these are the races, though. It's perhaps not the ones you win. It's these sort of tests that see if you can get there. Remember the win at Phoenix a year ago to make it to Miami to race for a championship. So they have been tested. This will be another one for this combination.
That's why everyone looks at the 11 and the 4 of Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick as so scary to get into that championship 4 because they've been so good at Phoenix. Marty?
Hey guys, you guys were talking about the Coca-Cola racing family a moment ago. How about Daniel Suarez? You guys remember that cool sugar skull helmet he had last year? Well, Daniel now has replicas of that helmet. There's a replica right there. Daniel's signing those replicas. You can go to DanielSuarezRacing.com for more details and to buy one of those. I tell you what, that's a pretty cool. It's a Day of the Dead helmet, obviously. And if Daniel's signing them, I might be in for getting one. That's pretty cool, isn't it, guys?
It'd be a good Christmas gift, wouldn't it, Marty?
Yeah, I'm in. If you want one, you're going to get one for me, Rick. Go ahead.
I thought that's what you were hinting towards.
Please.
That you were looking for one of those. As we see Daniel Suarez, that 28-year-old from Monterrey, Mexico.
Right behind him, the 20 you see falling back, the 41 to the inside. We're getting a report of a really bad vibration on the 20 of Eric Jones. We'll see if that forces him to pit road. As the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. making a move right there. There's the 20 of Jones, that white and red. Almost, I don't know,
Yeah, a little smoke
right there, or did I dream that?
No, I think I saw the smoke as well when he hit a little bit of a bump there through the turn.
Look at this, 3 wide in front of him. That's nerve-wracking. The 49 will take the bottom, force the 20 up the track. A lot of different options coming to pit road, not coming to pit road. How many tires? Let's listen in to Brad Keselowski on strategy.
Couple of options. We can do left just to get us to the end of the stage. If we go long enough, we can do forward and then stay out or do 2 at the end of the stage. I'm good with left, bud. Just try to get for stage points here. That's what I was thinking, yep.
All right, so there you go. A couple options. Take some left, short time on pit road as the battle continues with Denny Hamlin and the 21 of Matt DiBenedetto. Or we could take 4 tires. I like when a driver says, I'm good with lefts. I feel good about what we have. But that'll shorten our time on pit road, try to stay inside the top 10, score some points. As we come to the end of the stage, 19 to go in stage 2, we'll go NASCAR nonstop.
Green flag pit stops underway. We're seeing a few more people come to pit road. Now Ryan Blaney came for 4 tires and fuel, Marty.
Austin Dillon coming down pit road. Remember, fuel only on the last caution, and they were able to keep it up front in the top 5 for much of that run for Austin, saying the car getting tighter. A lot of people talking about how the car is down on the racetrack. Again, fuel only for the 3 car, so no tires for Austin Dillon once again with 13 to go here in stage 2.
Mistake, Steve? To do just a splash and go?
Well,
or are they looking for trying to win a stage?
Well, I think that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to, improve their position on the racetrack, work towards the end of stage 1. I assumed people would want to take 4 tires here so they would not have to stop or take a minimum amount of time at the stage break. We'll have to see as the pit stop cycle is going to continue. And as we saw that pit stop, the 18 of Kyle Busch has taken the lead from the 19 of Martin Truex Jr.
Kyle Busch out front, Martin Truex Jr. running in the 2nd spot. Parker.
Alex Bowman hits pit road here. I believe we'll see possibly right side tires having done left side tires on that last caution. Exactly, Marty.
A good indication that they are absolutely going faster. Chase Elliott was planning on coming in 4 laps, and then in 1 and 2 he told Alan Gustafson, I hit the switch, meaning he had to go to the reserve fuel. So they are certainly burning much more fuel. Fuel only for the 9 as well, and heads back out on the racetrack. Meanwhile, Martin Truex Jr., you saw he lost the lead to Kyle Busch. He said the car got much tighter the longer they ran. Going to be 2, no 4 Goodyear tires for Truex here. So 4 tires. Interesting call with everybody else kind of going fuel only. Meanwhile, Kurt Busch has been struggling with the handling of the car. They've also been struggling trying to keep the temperature right in the 1 car. They are on pit road here trying to get their service done. 10 to go here in stage 2.
See 4 tires going on Kurt Busch as well. I like 4 tires for Martin Truex Jr. I don't think he's worried about the stage. He's worried about the race win. 4 tires right here is going to open up the opportunity with 134 laps to go. Great call by the 19, in my opinion. We'll see how it cycles out as we see the 22 on pit road.
Right, that's Joe Logano. You're going to see 4 tires change here because he came across on the radio and said, I have a vibration inside that 22 once again. So they went 4 tires to be safe there.
Hey guys, a big development. Chase Elliott coming back down pit road. You see him leaving his pit stall. They took right side tires only. Chase saying he had a vibration. So 2 pit stops for Chase Elliott here. That's certainly going to swing their playoff picture as we approach the end of stage 2.
There's the 18, Kyle Busch, coming out of his stall. Looked like a very quick stop. Maybe fuel only for Kyle.
So we see Truex right here. He's going down into turn 1. The 18 of Kyle Busch has left his pit stall. He's exiting the pit lane over there on the back stretch. We're going to see what kind of momentum we have right here. I think the 18 is going to keep the lead. But Jeff, you and I, it was interesting to see these 2 kind of pass each other on the front stretch.
Yeah, we called the 18 past the 19. All of a sudden, didn't know why. We went back a few laps and, before that and went and watched. And Martin Truex Jr., as he's under battle right here, Martin Truex Jr. clearly a big lead on Kyle Busch. all the way through 3 and 4. Everything looks fine right here. And watch on the front straightaway. I don't know if Martin runs out of fuel or what happens right here, but gets really slow on the straight, and Kyle Busch goes by him. The only thing I can figure is they ran out of fuel right there, Steve.
Yeah, we heard the report that Chase Elliott had to flip the switch, means he went to the reserve, so maybe that's what happened. Parker.
Hey, the final playoff car to get on pit road is Denny Hamlin, struggling to speed in that 11 car. Also, the vibration got so bad they had to do 4 tires for Denny Hamlin.
Like I said, I like the 4-tire call here. I know it seems like you give it up a lot of time, but I think it's going to help them in the future.
You had mentioned that with Martin Truex Jr. He's looking for a win. Coming in here after the penalty, was starting out 51 points behind that cut line, looking for a win. And look at those tires, Marty.
Yeah, that is the right rear from Chase Elliott. So on the first stop, it was fuel only, and there you see why they had to come back in. Chase just apologized to Alan Gustafson, said, sorry, I did not feel it coming apart before we came to pit road, but man, when I left pit road, I felt it coming apart. Steve, that is not a good-looking right rear for Chase Elliott.
No, and that is just a real knock for the 9 car to have to make 2 trips all the way back at 27th, a lap down, 21 points below the cut line. Just a lot of time given up.
And as a driver, there's nothing you can do. He didn't feel anything. Everything was fine, right? And as soon as he pulls on the racetrack, all of a sudden there it is. I know he feels bad about it, but I don't know what he could have done differently.
No, I mean, he has no idea. It's good until it's not good. I know it sounds silly, but they look good until they're not good. So they're just going to have to find a way to try to recover.
Eric Jones just went across the start-finish line, and 4 laps remaining in stage 2.
It's going to be a big stretch for the fuel tank of Eric Jones. Last on pit road, lap 135. I didn't think there was any way someone could stretch the fuel that much, but
when you think about it, if Martin Truex Jr. ran out of gas, same organization.
Yep.
And he's coming to pit road now.
And that will hand the lead to the 18 of Kyle Busch.
So Eric Jones on pit road. Kyle Busch now out front with Martin Truex Jr. running second. Alex Bowman is third. Marty.
Coming with 3 to go, Eric Jones, and they had a bad vibration in the middle of the stage and slowed down so much. I think Chris Gale kind of thought, hey, maybe the playbook's open and slowed down so much that we can make it to the end of the stage, but obviously cannot make that happen. Left side tires only and fuel to make sure they get to the end of the stage.
So, Jeff, that pass on the front stretch that you mentioned when Truex slowed dramatically, whether it was fuel or something else, we aren't completely sure. Well, actually, we're getting a report right here. That is what happened to the 19. Just like you said, Jeff, he was passed for the lead because the car sputtered. It was out of gas. He flipped the switch. The 18 drove by him. Listen. You hear right there, the engine starts sputtering and missing. He flips the switch so he can get to pit road. But that time is the only thing that allowed the 18 to get by him, and that time will cost Martin Truex Jr. the stage win.
Final lap. Kyle Busch out front by 1.2 seconds over Martin Truex Jr. Then it's Bowman, Keselowski, Blaney, Bell, Austin Dillon, Clint Boyer, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kevin Harvick running in the 10th position. Remember, getting into the wall on Sunday, coming out of turn number 2. Damage to that right side, and Harvick has rebounded and now running in the top 10. Only the 3rd stage win of 2020. It's been a disappointing season for Kyle Busch. He's talked about how the most important thing for him, as he is the reigning champion, defending champion, is getting back to victory lane. He has 16 years that he has invested in that win streak. An incredible job done by everyone with NASCAR. The schedule is unchanged for this upcoming weekend, which is only a couple days away. Saturday, it's Xfinity Series. Sunday, Cup Series. Both of those races will be on NBC. The Truck Series race actually will still run on Friday night on FS1. So an amazing job even after this race has been delayed to midweek.
Rick, I know it's been a long week, but you know what you just told me? I only got 1 day off this week. I get racing again on Friday night. Just tomorrow, the only day without racing. I can't wait.
We'll call it a travel day. But yeah, looking forward to short track racing from Martinsville coming up this weekend.
And I don't think that Saturday race is going to be fascinating.
Yes.
Jeff mentioned earlier, so long since we've seen the Xfinity Series cars at Martinsville. All right, a little bit of decision. Kyle Busch stays out. He's going to try to stretch his fuel. The 19 of Truex is going to lead a long line of cars onto pit road. I assume we're going to see a variety here. Parker.
And Alex Bowman's going to do left side tires. Greg Ives motion to the 47 team. We're doing left side, so don't run into us. Clear out there for the 88. Also, Brad Keselowski on pit road there, doing 4 tires after doing fuel only on the green, Marty.
Fuel only for Martin Truex Jr. They took 4 in that last pit stop in stage 2. He will win this race off of pit road, so some staying out, some fuel only, some 2 tires. There's a little bit of everything on this set of stops, Rick.
You better get your notebook out, Rick. I'm going to test you when we come back where everybody stands on pit strategy.
We've got a lot to talk about. A little bit of strategy and some good running so far for Kyle Busch. Has him up front. Now we take a look at the 9 here of Chase Elliott, Steve.
Yeah, unfortunately the hits kind of keep on hitting. Marty did a nice job of reporting that under the green flag cycle he had to pit twice. He came once for fuel as he left. A tire came apart, forced him to pit road a second time. That put him a lap down. Well, I think their theory here was, all right, everybody's going to pit. We can stay out and take the wave around. Unfortunately, Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer stayed on the racetrack, pinning him a lap down. So he since has gone to pit road for service. Doesn't seem like much, but here he is a lap down with 119 laps to go. That was a great opportunity to kind of get a lap back that didn't present itself because of what other people did. The other big conversation is on the left side. Jeff, let's talk about the last pit lap. We said they could go about 60 laps. The guys that pitted at this stage end, I assume, can make it on one more stop. The question is Kyle Busch, Boyer, Logano, Matt DiBenedetto, Denny Hamlin. Those drivers all were on pit road about 10 laps earlier, so they're going to have to go basically 65 on each tank. That's the farthest we have seen anybody go. So we're going to have to see if those 4 can stretch it, or excuse me, 5 can stretch it on only 1 pit stop.
And remember, we saw Joe Gibbs Racing driver Martin Truex Jr. run out of gas trying to stretch it. Marty?
Remember in stage 2, we saw Kevin Harvick pit with a vibration, but the tires looked fine. Here's the conversation after that.
I don't know what we can do, but it's not good what you got there. I mean, it's just vibrating so bad that I can't see. Yeah, we really didn't have any cords that last round. There was shadow number. You didn't have any cords showing. Simple. Well, I mean, I just ran the crap out of it that time, so.
Kyle Busch on the inside, Clint Boyer on the outside as they get ready for the restart and underway with the final stage. Big push from Matt DiBenedetto in the 21 on that 14. Is it enough as Kyle Busch on the inside still holding on to the lead?
The second lane has started to become the preferred lane in 3 and 4. Let's see if Clint can make it work. Good forward momentum off of turn 4. Who's Matty Deagle help push?
They stay door to door. Matt DiBenedetto stays behind that 14. A little bit higher into turn 1 for Clint Boyer. Momentum now has him going by on the outside.
Clint had confidence in that traction compound. Kyle Busch side draft and slowing the 14 down. Now Boyer's going to try to get to that right rear quarter panel. Can't do it. Matty Deagle trying to take advantage. Drive underneath both of them.
Here comes DiBenedetto.
Look at the storylines. Kyle Busch looking for his first win of the season. Clint Boyer trying to look for his final win of his career. Matt DiBenedetto going for his first career win. A lot to talk about in the top 3.
Now that Denny Hamlin in that 11 car. Sitting there racing Joey Logano. He was struggling big time. Now sitting there racing for 4th.
Alex Bowman, who's led laps in this race, 43 of them. Right there in the picture as well. Martin Truex Jr. A must-win situation for the 19 up here.
Martin driving to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to make ground in 1 and 2. Nice move that he just made on the 88 car. Cleared him, got back into that line. Now let's see. He's looking right now to see if there's a gap between that 11 and the 22. Is there a place for him to go when he gets to turn 3 and turn 1? Is there a gap? Is there somewhere to fill? Looks like there will be. Drive it deep in the corner. Drives underneath Joey Logano. That's incredible speed from Martin Truex Jr. And
As he blocks, pulls the 22 back, the 11 gets a huge run behind him but has nowhere to go with it. So he's just got to follow the 22 in the corner. Yeah, that side draft, Jeff, is really big if you get to somebody's door.
Yeah, he's got to put a big side draft on Logano right here because Hamlin's going to push him in front of Truex. If Truex could clear the 22 through here, oh, is he there?
Can't do it.
No, he's clear. He's clear.
Easy, fucking there you go.
Game of inches. If he hadn't cleared Joey Logano, they would all stacked up behind him.
Well, the 19 cleared the 22. The 11 lost the nose, got up the racetrack. Now he's under attack from the 88. So Denny Hamlin had the track position, but doesn't have the car to keep it. Oh, now he gets back in front of the 88. Good move by the 11. And now we have the race for the lead is just bumper to bumper up here.
Yeah, think these three are hungry?
Oh, I know.
Very hungry. Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, Matt DiBenedetto. 1, 2, 3. Matt DiBenedetto was unsure of his future till just a couple weeks ago when it was announced he would be re-signed with Wood Brothers for the 2021 season. Still looking for that 100th win for Wood Brothers.
And you know, Rick, I have no information. I've spoke to nobody at the Wood Brothers to say this is the case, but in my mind, his performance both at Talladega and at Las Vegas in the closing laps, having a chance to win, that had to do something. If there was a decision to be swayed, good for him. His performance swayed it. Happy to see him back in the 21.
Austin Cindric, the driver of the 22 in the Xfinity Series, will be driving that car in 2022. But again, Matt DiBenedetto will be back next year. And as you mentioned, looking for his first win in the Cup Series. Here's Brad Keselowski making the move up, closing in on that 48 of Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, it's been fun watching Brad Keselowski the last couple laps in 1 and 2. He has been making some ground. Let's see if he can do it again. Not close enough to Jimmy Johnson right here, I don't think, to take advantage of it, but he's been driving to the bottom of the racetrack, making a lot of passes.
And, you know, as we talk about all these guys, Jeff, we have to point out, you know, the championship is going to be won at Phoenix this year.
Look at that.
That's impressive, isn't it? And I want to talk about that guy. That's why I bring that up, Jeff. Let's talk about Brad Keselowski. Let's talk about the Penske Fords. I would say that their sweet spot all year has been the high horsepower short track package. We are not going to award a champion at Miami. It will be at Phoenix. Logano's already in. Look at the points. Keselowski plus 24. Even as great as Harvick and Hamilton has been, I'd have to say I'd put the two Penske cars as my favorite if they could both make it to Phoenix.
Look at this battle for position. DiBenedetto trying to take the spot away from Martin Truex Jr. Jr. coming up. DiBenedetto trying to hold him off. And Martin Truex Jr. not able to complete the pass just yet.
I think he's got the position that he wants right now, though. We've seen how good he is on the bottom of the racetrack in 1 and 2. Going to put it right on the white line. Easily past Matty D in 1 and 2. That's the strength of Martin Truex Jr. Marty.
And on his way up through the field, Martin Truex Jr., who's kind of had to pass a few people in the last few laps, as we have watched, wasn't very happy with a certain teammate. Listen on the radio.
Thanks a lot, 11. We really appreciate it. All the help. Yeah, super. We can do pretty fun of you, bud.
He also wasn't happy with how Matt DiBenedetto was blocking. So as Martin Truex Jr. has come up through the field, he's made a few friends along the way, Rick.
Well, Martin's had a really interesting season. There was a run of races where he was finishing second virtually in every race. Second, third. It was like Martin just couldn't go over that hump and get to victory lane. But he's run so well in so many races this year.
So, you know, Jeff, the question is, does Denny Hamlin not help the 19 because he wants the top, or does he not want to help the 19 because, you know, he doesn't want to race the 19? You know, at some point you say, hey, buddy, I can't help you anymore. We're to the point in the season. Or is it all just what's better for the 11 of Denny Hamlin?
Teammates have unrealistic expectations. They want to be helped, right? They want to be helped, but, I mean, you're racing, right? You're racing, and you just got to go do what you got to do. Denny Hamlin has not had a good enough car today to just be giving spots up. Then he's got to do what he's got to do to protect himself.
And this organization, you know, we talked with Adam Stevens earlier in the year with Kyle Busch. He said our organization is all across the board on where we are. I mean, Denny Hamlin has had great success. He's won. He's had a lot of playoff points. Different completely situation than Martin Truex Jr., who hasn't won nearly as many races. Completely different from Kyle Busch, who hasn't won a race yet. So all different places right now inside of the same organization.
Well, great battle right here. All these cars are so equally matched. So Brad lose a spot there trying to make something happen. He's so fast on this end of the racetrack. Look at that. He just keeps doing that lap after lap. Now he fills that hole. That's so impressive watching Brad Keselowski do that. Let's see what the strategy is. Just break even with them in 3 and 4, right? If you can just get a little bit of momentum headed toward turn 1 and then drive underneath them. Parker, what do you have on Brad?
Well, Jeff, that's a big point that Brad and I were talking about earlier this weekend, or whatever it was, basically on Sunday, I guess, a long time ago. But nonetheless, he was remarking about how this year on the 550 package, the cars are so much more drivable. That's a big deal for him, being able to make moves like you're seeing down in 1 and 2, where he can really crank on the wheel. He just told me these cars are reacting to his inputs and doing things so much more comfortably than what he had last year when he really struggled in this 550 package. That drivability, that's key when you're trying to make moves like you're seeing down 1 and 2.
Clint Bowyer has found a way to get by the 18. He's still behind him, but he's been 6 or 8 car lengths back lap after lap after lap. But Jeff, down here, oh, look at Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch has been running the top, Clint Bowyer running the bottom. The last lap, Clint Bowyer got right to the 18's bumper, unable to pass him. Kyle Busch then goes to the defensive line. Let's see at this end of the racetrack. It's been the same thing. Kyle Busch high, the 14 low. They both enter high. This is the crossover. This is where the 14's been turning down, unable to do it this time. This battle up front has been great. I actually thought they were going to be side by side. Kyle Busch, though, with a good defensive move.
And Clint Bowyer's the kind of driver, he really wants to be on that white line in 1 and 2. Let's see if he gets himself back there. He loves running the bottom.
99 laps to go. Kyle Busch out front, Clint Bowyer running in the second spot as we go NASCAR nonstop. Gap closing in once again as Clint Bowyer trying to make a run on the lead here at Texas. Kyle Busch has it, but again, a differing strategy. Kyle Busch, Clint Bowyer, they were on pit road at lap 201 and 199. Martin Truex Jr., who's running in the 3rd position, was on pit road at lap 213. So a little over 10 laps more fuel for the 19 team. Now we see Denny Hamlin in the 11. Under fire from the 95, the 1 of Kurt Busch coming up there as well.
Denny Hamlin's been under attack by a lot of different drivers. Blaney just got by him, Bowman, Logano. Now these two are trying to put pressure on him.
Hamlin running in the 9th position as Kurt Busch trying to clear Christopher Bell. Can't quite do it there.
And further back, Kevin Harvick. He's struggling also. He is only running 17th place. He has not had the speed since that pit stop.
We heard on the
Strange
radio.
to see, Rick. Strange to see this time of year, as fast as the 11 and the 4 have been, for these guys both to be struggling.
Yeah, let's go to Parker.
Right, as we watch that 11 car, Denny Hamlin struggle here. You know, that's been the trend through this whole race. Early in the race, they had to make Packer adjustments, which we know is a huge adjustment to make under a pit stop, trying to get that splitter up off the ground. Since then, he struggled with the entry course of the corners. He was too edgy, too lacking security in that 11 car, and now just struggling with basic overall speed in that 11 car. Just not their day, Marty.
Parker, let's give a call to Kurt Busch, Matt McCall, and that team for rallying. Remember earlier we heard that radio where Kurt said he just couldn't drive the car, and Matt McCall came back and said, listen, dude, you got to drive what we've got. They have rallied, and they're about to get back in the top 10, trying to get around Denny Hamlin for the 10th place. Kurt Busch with a nice rally today. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick absolutely struggling. Jeff, you talked about it a moment ago. They cannot get 1 and 2 right. They are still having problems with the car being way too tight. In fact, Harvick restarted 12th on this restart and is now back to 17th. He has lost spots, and this is the end of the racetrack that Kevin Harvick is struggling with the most.
You look at the points, though. The 4 has a 44-point lead over the cut line, then 29 points out of the 2 and the 11. So points-wise, those guys are looking very solid up there. The one thing that comes into play, we've mentioned the one of Kurt Busch. He's in a must-win situation. The 19, more than likely, a must-win situation. Chase Elliott has fallen now, and Alex Bowman, both of those drivers are in a very precarious position as we're getting ready to come down to the final race of this round, Martinsville, coming up this weekend.
Yeah, Chase Elliott at minus 29, currently sitting 23rd in the running order because he is a lap down. He is in the free pass position. If he can get a yellow, he can get back in the lead lap and gain some of those points. That's why it's important. Rick, you mentioned about the final pit stop of all of these leaders and how the front couple cars pitted about 10 laps earlier. Well, when I go back and look at the history, Kyle Busch went 66 laps earlier in this race. So he needs to go 134, basically 133 to the finish. You split it up in the middle. It's really close if he can do it on one stop. So we'll have to see if Kyle Busch can figure it out. Because everyone that pitted 10 laps after him, they know they only have to stop once to finish this race. The 18 of Kyle Busch is going to try to stretch it, Marty, but it's going to be close with my man.
Going to try and stretch it, and to complicate the situation even more, Steve, Kyle Busch just came on the radio to Adam Stevens a moment ago and said, are you hearing a lot about complaints about vibrations? And they said, yep, everybody in the field is talking about it. Kyle said, well, I have one as well. So here they are, 47 laps into the run. Steve, how long do you let your driver stay out if he's leading and talking about a vibration on the 18?
I think I just tell him the facts. The facts are, Kyle, here's our strategy. This is what we're trying to do. I need 19 more laps to get to our fuel window. I don't know how it's vibrating. I believe in you. I believe what you're feeling. If it gets too severe, you pit. And that's the hand we're dealt. But I want you to know what pitting does. It probably removes us from the chance of winning this race. You don't put the blame on Kyle Busch, but you put the pressure on him. You say, you're the only guy, you're the only one, buddy. You're going to have to make the decision.
A lot of racing back in the pack. Brad Keselowski, Matty D, Ryan Blaney. Brad cleared Matty D, and Matt tried to cross him over, couldn't do it. Said, oh, just push it out in front straight away. It's been really intense racing back here in the pack. And it continues on.
Those organizations actually working together with Penske, Wood Brothers.
And I think this is what that 21 car needs to do, right? Even if it's racing for 5th place, you need to be racing with these other Penske cars. He's behind 1 and in front of 2. That's what you need to do if you're part of this Penske organization, right? The Wood Brothers are teammates with Penske. You need to run with those Penske cars.
It's fascinating as we watch these guys race. We talked earlier about the bubble and how it affects these cars and how they move each other around, the side draft, the positioning that these drivers have to do. I bring it up because the other thing that happens is there really is a draft. So the leaders are out now. They have a 5.5-second lead on Martin Truex Jr. And it all happened. Look at that. The leaders are way out there in front. And it all happened once he lost touch with them. What I mean, Rick, is that big spoiler and that lower horsepower, just like Daytona and Talladega, it actually speeds you up down the straightaway. It helps your overall lap time. You can kind of get away from each other in the corner. Martin Truex Jr. has had one of the best cars, but since the leaders have lost touch, he no longer has that toe, that draft. It's just like losing the draft at Daytona. That's happened lap after lap after lap. Now he's 5 seconds, Jeff, behind second. That draft is something that I know we have existed. We've seen it with this package, but I think that's a clear case of a good car just not having a toe.
Yeah, it certainly makes a difference. It's just the straightaway speed and the turns 3 and 4 speed get helped also. The only place where you get hurt is in 1 and 2.
And I think as wide as the groove is, you can kind of run the opposite lane, right, to minimize the damage.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, even if you're better up top, you don't run the bottom. I think that's why you see this close racing like this, and they just can't separate from one another. These two are still going at it.
DiBenedetto up the racetrack, and now Blaney, will he slide up in front? He does, and so Ryan Blaney takes that spot away. So 5th for Ryan Blaney. DiBenedetto drops back to 6th. There's Kevin Harvick once again, and continuing to go the wrong direction, it looks like, as John Hunter Nemechek in the 38 goes to the inside of him.
Kevin Harvick right now is thankful he had a great, wonderful regular season and has all those playoff points, because at plus 44, that's purely because of the season he had leading up to the playoffs, Marty.
Kevin Harvick, yep, not much better handling-wise. Here's what they said on the radio a moment ago.
Shattered in the front real bad this run for whatever reason. 10-4. Do anything different this time? No, we just raised the track bars off.
and he has lost spots since then. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, Clint Boyer is having an issue. They initially thought it might be an engine problem, but now they're saying they are out of fuel on the 14. And Kyle Busch is saying, remember that Boyer pitted much earlier, 199, so here he comes down pit road right now to get fuel in the 14. Yes, out of fuel on the 14. So Kyle Busch, you only went a couple of laps longer than him. Adam Stevens asked Kyle Busch on the racetrack, even though you're leading, you have a good-sized lead, roll out of the throttle, save me some fuel, because at our number right now, it's going to be tight for us to make it to the end. So 77 to go here. I'm not sure, Steve, can Boyer make it to the end of this race from here?
Yeah, that's shocking. 78 to go, 77 to go. I'm sure it's shocking for the 14 pit box. You know, you get to 70, 68, you say, we're in a window, maybe a yellow, but at 77, that has to be just nerve-wracking for this car, the 18 of Kyle Busch. He has a 7.5-second lead. Look at those green dots. Let's see what he does. He's going to pull right up here behind the 34. Oh, there you go. Half throttle. Half throttle, saving a little fuel. This is how you save fuel. You get a tow. It's like getting behind that big Mack truck on the interstate. The thing just tows you along. You can actually not burn as much fuel and run the same lap time, Marty.
And Steve, I've never heard more crew chiefs talk about finding a drafting partner at a mile-and-a-half racetrack than I have today. Adam Stevens has told Kyle Busch several times, find someone to draft off of, save as much fuel as you can. You'll see him roll up behind Eric Almirola here. He'll do the same thing. Meanwhile, his teammate Martin Truex Jr., almost 7 seconds back, is talking about needing drafting help. He's by himself on the racetrack, so there's no way he can really save fuel. You guys talked about it. Kyle Busch trying to save that streak of 15 straight years with the win and trying to do it every way he can right now and saving fuel here late in the race. 75 to go.
So, Jeff, this is going to sound...
10 more laps at least out of you.
Oh, there you go. 10 more laps. 75 laps to go, as Marty just pointed out. You heard Adam Stevens say we need 10 more laps. 7-second lead, Jeff. I know it's crazy. Give it all up. If you can't make it to your pit number, it's not going to matter. You're racing Martin Truex Jr., who has 10 laps better fuel than you. Part throttle. Save as much gas as you can back up to Martin Truex Jr. You have to find about lap 67 to go, 66 to go to have a realistic shot. This is going to be fascinating to see how good Kyle Busch. I just don't know if he has known early enough. It's hard to save in just the last 10 laps.
Let's listen into Martin Truex Jr.'s radio.
I need some drafting help, you know. I'm stuck here by myself. Yes, sir, I see that. Being a mobile wide open all the way around. Fairly cracking in one. 10-4.
Draft and help at a mile and a half. This aero package is fascinating. The amount of layers involved on the racetrack. We could cover it as well as we try. Every week, it's a new storyline.
We'll see if Kyle Busch saves enough fuel as we go NASCAR nonstop.
66. It's going to be so close.
Back at Texas Motor Speedway, 67 laps to go. Kyle Busch trying to stretch the fuel so he can match everybody else's fuel sequence. Adam Stevens told him when you have to flip the switch, you've got one more lap. Right when he passed pit road last time, he flipped the switch. So Kyle Busch was able to stretch it to 67 laps to go. He should be able to make it to the end here. It's going to be tight, but they can now run with everybody else. So Adam Stevens really coaching up Kyle that entire run, telling him to save fuel, telling him not to pass cars, and do everything he could, even drafting off other cars to save all the fuel he could. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires, and they are going to pack the 18 fuel with Sunoco fuel. Should be able to make it to the end. 66 to go, and everybody else will have to pit as well.
That's a big, bold should there, Marty. He just ran 68 laps, but 5 of those were under caution. 63 green, 68 under, 68 total, 5 were those were under caution. Now he has to run 66 laps. Man, I have him like right on the number, maybe a half a lap short. The question is, if he knows that earlier in the run, can he save fuel longer? Man, these last 65 are going to be a fuel management mode for Kyle Busch in the 18 car.
When will everybody else come, Steve? Now that he's come to pit road, will that bring other cars now?
No, because tires still don't have any value. There's no reason to pit. Make sure you're surely in your window. I'd get to 60, maybe 59 to go and then pit. The one advantage of waiting is once you pit, then the 18 has a bogey. He knows where you are on the racetrack. So if you're the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., you're trying to run the best laps you can right now to just close that 6-second gap, Parker.
Got on when the first cars reacted, get it on pit road after 18. Kyle Busch is going to be 4 Goodyear tires and filling it full of Sunoco fuel, just a little bit tight. That 22 car, just see the adjustment left rear.
So, guys, the fastest race car on the racetrack, not by a little bit, but by a lot, is this 95 car of Christopher Bell. He is absolutely flying. He has gotten by Brad Keselowski, he's gotten by Blaney, and he has gapped them by a huge amount. He is absolutely flying. Run Martin Truex down about 3/10 a lap when they both have clean air. This 95 car, we have a new player in the game. The key for them, though, is pit stops. That has been their weak point all year long. They're going to have to get on and off pit road under green with a good pit stop if they're going to have a chance to win this race.
And what a race win it would be for Bob Levine and Levine Family Racing. Marty, the 4.
Just up in the Texas race that everyone expected from Kevin Harvick. Obviously speed early on, the contact back on Sunday. You see Denny Hamlin coming down pit road as well. Harvick struggling with the fronts chattering, and you see that tire get away. That'll be a penalty, Parker.
And for Denny Hamlin, it's just been edgy has been the word for the 11 car. Just not able to get into the corners like they want. You saw the damage they repaired early in the race and the adjustment in the left rear.
So the tire getting away from the 4 of Kevin Harvick, at least their crew. It went down the wall. It wasn't out on pit road, but
we'll have to see what NASCAR says. It's clearly defined. If it rolls back to the outside half of the pit box, it's a penalty. Anything other than that's a little less clearly defined. It's whether you stay in reasonable control, if you affect other pit stops. So we'll have to see how NASCAR rules that. Let's take another look. So it hits the other tire, kind of luckily takes a left. So fortunately, there's not a car in front of him. In my opinion, that's not a penalty. NASCAR may disagree. It didn't affect another pit stop, and it wasn't a safety issue. Outside, that's the advantage of the #1 pit stall. So we'll have to see what NASCAR says. Parker.
Brad Keselowski in here. You see that tape on the front. It was 4 tires, a little bit of adjustment to fix a tight condition as he fell back there at the end of the run.
And you see Martin Truex Jr. coming down pit road as crew chief James Small ejected from the track back on Sunday. He's back in Huntersville, North Carolina at Joe Gibbs Racing headquarters, and they know after losing 20 points in the penalty, they're in a must-win scenario. So Blake Harris and James Small making the call here. 4 Goodyear tires, all the Sunoco fuel. They can get in the car. 59 laps to go for Truex, who currently has led a lot today and in a position to get that must-win they need if they want to advance to the championship 4.
So we're hearing nothing, no penalty on the 4. Here's Kyle Busch right here, already serviced. You're going to see the 19 right there. Goes by. Kyle Busch will reassume the lead when the pit cycles. Not everyone has pitted yet. The reason that matters is Kyle Busch now has from there to not only find him 3 or 4 laps worth of fuel, not only don't make a mistake, but stay ahead of the 19. Parker.
4 tires for Alex Bowman, who has struggled in traffic. When they've been out front, they've had a very fast car, just not able to replicate that in traffic.
Well, this will be huge for Kyle Busch. No mistakes and saving fuel, Marty.
Non-playoff driver Ryan Blaney having an outstanding run. They've been kind of flirting with the top 5 for much of that run. Blaney saying they struggled when they were on 2 tires. So Todd Gordon making the call here for fresh Goodyear tires. You see the fuel man shaking his head yes, meaning the fuel was full. Ryan Blaney heading back out on the racetrack.
It's just so fascinating, all these green flag pit stops. Everybody's pitting now, 56 to go. We see Blaney blend off from pit road. They can definitely make it on fuel. The real question mark is, we know Boyer cannot. He ran out of gas really early. Now we see the 9 of Chase Elliott, who tried to stay as long as he could, Marty, to find that lap.
Yes, Steve, you've had these runs before where you sit in the free pass position forever. Chase Elliott, that entire run was in the free pass spot. If a caution would have come out, they didn't get it. 4 tires and fuel. They're still trying to recover on the 9 Parker from that time they had to pit twice earlier on.
And what an awesome run for Christopher Bell and this Levine Family Racing team to pit from the lead. He was turning very fast lap times and using a rear changer from the 96 of Grant Brothers Racing there. Rob Trano on the back you saw there had to fill in for their rear changer. Excellent run for this team.
All right, Jeff, you talked about how fast the 95 was. Well, he was in 3rd. Can he leapfrog the 19 of Martin Truex Jr.? Here you go. Truex Jr. on the front stretch. The 95 will be on the blend lane. He had great speed under green. Was the pit stop good enough? It looks like the 19. There you go. He's going to remain in 2nd. Will the pace of the 95 continue? I say 2nd, so Boyer is in 2nd. but we know he can't make it on fuel. Now, if the caution comes out, great for him. Maybe he can save. I don't think anybody else is pitting. I think Kyle Busch will save. So at this point, in my mind, it's can Kyle Busch make these final 54 laps on a tank of fuel and hold off the 19 of Truex and the 95 of Bell? Because Bowyer, if I'm Adam Stevens, I'm saying, Bowyer, don't worry about Bowyer. He's short on gas, and we know it.
Okay, but Steve, the question is, now Kyle Busch, I'm sure he has the information from Adam Stevens saying, okay, we think we can make it, but if you can save me a little bit of fuel, you have a 7-second lead right now. Well, it's 5.5 seconds now over Martin Truex Jr., who ultimately is going to be in second after Bowyer does come to pit road. So does Kyle Busch run hard to keep that lead out there now, or does he start saving a little fuel as we have an issue with the 48?
48, Jimmy Johnson's having such a great run, Jeff. It looks like the engine's expired. Parker, what do you got?
Right, he'd come on the radio about a lap before and said there's smoke inside the cockpit, and sure enough, as he came down pit road, smoke was billowing out of the exhaust. The team looking under the hood, and definitely some sort of engine issue for 48 Jimmy Johnson, who's having a solid top 10 run today.
Hey, just one more thing in this crazy news cycle of 2020. You know, it was announced that Hendrick Motorsports and Richard Childress ECR, their engine programs are going to combine their development thing. So here you go right here. This is the 18 of Kyle Busch. You know why he pulled over and let the 14 go? Because Adam Stevens is telling him, we're not racing him.
Yeah.
He has enough fuel. Let him go. Let him feel good about it. Matter of fact, the best thing you can do.
Whatever draft you can pull here to save.
There you go. Whatever draft. The 14's a great race car. So if you're going to draft anybody, draft a fast race car.
You will have
maybe we can peek into the 18's data right here as he follows the 14. What we're looking for is just any time we think he should be wide open. Jeff, saving gas is kind of an art. I mean, a place like this with so much wide open throttle, it's just going to be what? A toe and part throttle when you can?
Yeah, anything you can do to be off the throttle for longer, right? Just very simple. And being able to get that toe off that 14 car is a huge advantage for Kyle right now. This is really, really smart play by Adam Stevens as crew chief, Marty.
Jeff, I'm telling you, for the last 75 laps, Adam Stevens has not stopped coaching Kyle Busch. I think he's talked almost every lap. And Steve, you're right. They weren't even putting Clint Bowyer in their calculus when they were figuring things out. They were referencing everything to Martin Truex Jr., their teammate. That's what they based his lead off of. And yes, Adam Stevens said, let the 14 go. He's 15 laps short. We'll draft off of him. Adam Stevens is doing an outstanding job trying to coach Kyle Busch through all of this fuel saving and get them their first win in 2020.
Rick, you used to start on Friday in practice. You knew who was good and who was bad and who you're going to have to race. There's no practice, there's no qualifying. So now you basically watch the race, and as laps wind down, you know who you are racing when these strategy calls come in. Let's listen in to that 18 radio.
If you said you needed 10 more laps and like 2 more we had to come, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't believe anything I say. Keep saving, be easy on it.
Don't believe anything I say, although he's been talking, as Marty mentioned, almost every lap.
This is, I've been where Adam Stevens is. I've been on both sides. I mean, maybe everyone doesn't remember, but it's scarred in my brain. I ran out of gas coming off turn 4 at the Coca-Cola 600. Ran out of gas off turn 2 at Las Vegas. You know, the math of fuel consumption is solid. The question mark on the math is you have to take a few variables, which is, hey, is the car completely full? How much fuel is in the car? You know, you think you fill it up, but was there an air bubble? Was the car jacked up? There's so many different things. They have a better understanding now with the live data and the driver input that they can kind of predict where they're at. But Marty, there's still, you know, every math equation gets to be a little questionable when you can't define every single number within it.
Well, they know they have it full, so that's one thing, Steve. And Adam Stevens keeps telling Kyle Busch, Jeff, I don't know how much you listen to your crew chief when you're behind the wheel. He keeps telling Kyle Busch, I mean, he's the 5th fastest car that last lap. And Adam Stevens every lap goes, dude, you've got to help me out here. You've got to slow down a little bit. Your lead is 5.5 seconds. You're way up on the 19. You've got to do a little bit more than what you're doing right now if we want to make it to the end.
You're just going to have to listen, right? You're going to have to pay attention to your crew chief. Your crew chief has all the information, and that's what you have to trust. And the only way you're going to win, the way you're going to win this race is on fuel. They're right now, they're comparing themselves to the 19, but I'm telling you, they better start comparing themselves to that 95 of Christopher Bell. Because Christopher Bell, behind the 19, he is 2 to 3 tenths a lap faster than Martin Truex Jr. is. They're going to have to, that's the guy. That's the guy, in my opinion. If Christopher can get by Martin Truex Jr., that's the guy they're going to have to start comparing themselves to. And Steve, it's just math, right? It's you have this many laps, he's this far behind, you got to run this much faster than him for him not to catch you on the last lap. It's just that simple, and then Kyle's going to have to do what Adam says.
So, Jeff, I'm going to ask you a question to this new style of racing of 2020. If you're Christopher Bell and you're better, is there an advantage to maybe push the 19 down every straightaway, try to find a combined lap time between both cars, or you just pass them and drive on?
What I've seen is that the 95 is so much faster than the 19, he needs to go. He's going to be better off if he can get by him. I'm telling you, this is the fastest car on the racetrack, not by a little bit, but by a lot.
All right, well, we're going to see what he does right here. He's about 3 car lengths behind him with 43 laps to go. Both of these cars about 4.5 seconds behind Kyle Busch. Clint Bowyer leads, but we're sure he's short on fuel to make it to the finish.
Yeah, Clint didn't get his. What happened with Clint Bowyer was a couple stops ago, they did not get their car full, and that's why they ran out of fuel, and that's why they are now short. They did not get full 2 stops ago.
You and him.
Look at this run here by the 95. Christopher Bell, this is trying to take second away from Martin. Well, it's actually right now third, but he's trying to take that position away from Martin Truex Jr.
This is Christopher Bell's opportunity.
Be racing for the win here tonight, so what we got to do to stay, keep him back there, clear about one of them.
There you go. That's the spotter on the 19. He's telling him, hey, the 18 can't make it. We're racing the 95 for the win, which, you know, they may believe that. Maybe they think the 18 can't make it.
And Steve, we have talked a lot about this fuel and getting it full. As we look again at the 95, ducking underneath the 19.
So I'm going to make it real simple. When you go to the gas pump, Rick, you ever just stick the fuel nozzle in there and you set it and kind of forget about it? And you know it clicks off? Then you say, man, I'm at $19.20, and you keep messing with the handle and you get it all the way to $20?
Yeah.
You just put in 80 cents more gas, but yet it was full at $19.20. So while this isn't that automatic handle, that dump can is going to start showing fuel. Like, oh, look, it's full, it's full. But how long did that gas man stay plugged in? Could he have put more fuel in it? That is going to be the difference. We are talking ounces. A couple ounces of fuel could be the difference between Kyle Busch continuing to be winless or being a winner in 2020.
And we don't want to go away from this battle. It's very good here. But what you're talking about, Steve, would the pace at which you lower the left side of that car, would that determine also if you get it completely full? Because it looked as though the 18 lowered the left side slowly on their last pit stop.
Lower it slowly and don't leave right away. Like, lower it and give it a half a count, a half a second, just to give that gas man every chance. Because with the left side jacked up, there's going to be an air bubble in that cell. So there's a lot of races I wish I would have done. That's a great idea, Rick. I'm going to write that down.
Well, guess what? The only reason I knew that, I watched them do it. So the 18 did that on their last stop. As this battle continues, Christopher Bell trying to figure out how to get by Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, if Christopher Bell could ever find a way around him, he's faster than Martin, but it's just so hard to pass. Now, keep in mind, even though Christopher Bell has not been able to clear Martin Truex Jr., they're still both about a 1/10.5 of a second faster per lap than Kyle Busch. They've cut that lead to almost 2 seconds now. It wasn't about 3.5, and they've cut that lead, so they're catching Kyle Busch.
You know, what's interesting about these playoffs, you know, we say it all the time, unlike in other sports, everyone's still on the track, right? So Clint Bowyer leads this race looking for a win before his final season comes to a close. Kyle Busch, a champion, a 2-time champion, out of the playoffs looking for a win to extend a winning streak in his career. Truex needing a win to advance his playoffs. Looking at the points, I would argue that he's probably out if he doesn't win in the next 2 races. Christopher Bell gets the dream job, right? He's moving to Joe Gibbs Racing next year, but he has yet to win a race. Surely he would love to win. The youngster would love to win and give the 95 a team that believed him in a victory before he leaves.
Well, that's it right there. That's the lead. That's what they're chasing.
Steve, take a look at this stop. This is the left sides as they put the left side tires on, but look how slow they lower the jack.
Small details make a difference. We're going to watch right here. The jack man, really nice job. Ease it down. Great communication. That's under great. Look at the patience of Kyle Busch. Usually see the jack drop and the guy leaves. That's great. We saw communication issues between Greg Ives earlier today and Alex Bowman about how to leave and not to leave. I only pick on that because that could be the difference between Alex Bowman's race. You don't know what kind of track position he would have. Look at the communication between Adam Stevens and Kyle Busch right there. Kyle Busch was crystal clear on what had to be done, even though he was running out of gas and knew he had to stretch it. So many things going through his mind. Jeff, that's great leadership and team management by Adam Stevens on top of the 18 box.
It is great leadership, and you wonder, without the success that we've come to expect from those two, you wonder about their future if they can't find a way to win, right? I mean, Kyle Busch has to win races. He's one of those drivers that just has to win races, and there's a lot of pressure on crew chiefs, a lot of pressure on drivers. This race, although Kyle is out of the playoffs, could be huge for this team. Marty.
Hey, Jeff, here's something you don't hear every day. Kyle Busch says the lap cars are getting out of the way too easily. He wants them to kind of hang there a little bit, draft off of them, save some fuel, and everybody's moving over for Kyle Busch. So actually, when he wants them to kind of stay in his way, they're moving out of the way and playing nice with Kyle Busch. But here's an interesting point to consider, Parker. Kyle has slowed way down. Eventually, Adam Stevens said, we'll let him go, we'll let him run, but you got to wonder if he's really going to know how the car is. Can he keep his teammates behind him when he goes full throttle and tries to battle for the win?
And Marty, to add another factor to all this as we watch this battle for the win, we get later in this race. You know, as I walked down pit road after all those green flag stops were completed, I still saw some left side tires that had a lot of wear that showed some of those issues we've seen throughout this race. And so I have to think, if you're a crew chief right now, looking at the way this run was split up in this third stage, you're going to be going as far as you can. Therefore, if you hear the words vibration, that could make some hearts drop, Marty.
Hey, Parker, let's keep an eye on Kyle Busch. Adam Stevens told him they're getting pretty close to us. They're about a second and a half behind. Time to, quote, start rolling. So we'll see if Kyle Busch's lap times can pick up, because, Jeff, you're right, the 1995 catching him very quick.
Well, I think that's a great point. He's been riding around. He really doesn't know what his car can do and what it can't do. These two, they know it. They've been on edge the entire time. And by the way, now that he has to pick his pace up, guess what's going to happen? He's going to burn more fuel. And when he did go to pick his pace up, he just ran the fastest lap on the racetrack. So Kyle Busch had some left. We just saw the speed. He ran 1/10 of a second faster than Martin Truex that lap.
Adam Stevens just took a nice deep breath. So after you saw that lap time right there, and now he has to manage the next 30. And so my opinion is, you let him go ahead and run hard for, say, 10 or 15 laps, and if he can stretch it back out, then pull him back, right? But let's go ahead and stretch it back out a little bit. You know, as we talk so much about Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr., you know, there's so many other playoff stories. We have Alex Bowman in 6th, Keselowski 7th, Kurt Busch in 8th. I think about Alex Bowman. Remember, we saw that little bit of issue on pit road. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but that one little checkup cost him 6 spots. He's currently in 6th. That's what kind of took him off the front row. This car has been remarkable in the lead. It just hasn't been the best car in traffic. You ask yourself, is that what hurt the 88, or is it the 2 of Brad Keselowski? Jeff, earlier, you were so impressed with how he could run the bottom. Somewhere here, that run has kind of gone away for the 2 car.
Yeah, this track's changing. It just keeps changing. Now it's almost dark outside. Track tip keeps coming down. It's so hard to keep up with the racetrack, Steve. Car drives great. You're afraid to change a lot.
Yeah, you don't want to dial yourself out, right? You just think about the 9 of Chase Elliott right here. He has run, I don't know how many laps, 1 lap down, and here he is in the 21st position. A miscue is simple as coming to pit road and leaving and then having a tire pick. I don't even know that's technically a miscue. Bad fortune, bad luck, call it whatever you want. That's what's put this 9 car at 25 points below the cut line. You know, this car was going to run at least 10th or better. That's 10 or 15 points. That puts them in a tangible number that they could probably accomplish at Martinsville. It's becoming very, very different. I tell you, the guy on the other side of this, Jeff, the 11 of Denny Hamlin has had anything but a good day. Before we went under red, he had a big issue on Sunday, came back, barely got in an accident here, and somehow he has found himself in the 10th position at plus 27. This grind might be exactly what Hamlin needs.
Well, what also Hamlin needs is his teammate to win. Because right now, if Kyle Busch stays out there and wins this race...
But be careful which teammate, because it's his other teammate trying to beat him.
He doesn't want Martin to win, but he would love to see Kyle Busch win because of the situation that he is in. You look at the points, 41 points for Harvick, 27 points for the 11 of Hamlin, 25 points for the 2 of Keselowski. What he doesn't want, what Denny Hamlin doesn't want, is that 19 to come up there and win this race, because then all of a sudden he is in a very difficult...
Yeah, I think about Kevin Harvick, right? I mean, Kevin Harvick, you have to assume that the damage from the impact on Sunday is bigger than what this team thought it was. This car has never run today like we expect them to run. I would say they've run worse today than they have all year long on a mile and a half. Just have to assume the damage was worse than they thought. But look at the points. Still 41 points to the good. So on a bad day, just get what you can get. Don't make a bad situation worse, Marty.
And that's a great point, Jeff, and that's why you work so hard in the regular season. Kevin Harvick will tell you from the Daytona 500 on, we treat every week like it's a playoff race, and this is why. Building up that big cushion, now they're plus 41, and even though they didn't have a great day, and yeah, the damage probably had a big factor in that, they are still plus 41 above the cut line, heading to Martinsville with a shot to make the championship for you. See Clint Boyer coming down pit road. They went about as far as they could. 23 laps to go. Boyer saying the car extremely tight. They ran it as far as they could, Steve, trying to keep and maybe get a caution there, but didn't work out for Clint Boyer and his race team.
Yeah, they're going to go back and look at this one as one that maybe got away at some point. I can't believe their fuel mileage is that bad. It must have not been full. But either way, that's going to relinquish the lead to the 18, Rick.
Steve, look how close this is, too, because remember, it was 3.5. It was almost 4 seconds when they came off of pit road originally. Now it's down to less than a second. It's a 9/10 of a second. The 19 running in the second position. Listen to his radio.
Be thinking about a plan to get to this 18 to defend that 95. He works the 3 and 4 PJ just a little higher when he needs to when he's tight behind you. I know, I got it.
I got it. That's what I like to hear. Think about that, though. It's not just, hey, beat the 18. Hey, when you catch him, don't forget about the 95. And these drivers are working the windshield and the mirror, Jeff.
Well, the 95 car has lost a little bit of ground to the 19, but the 95 car was exceptionally fast at the end of that long green flag run. Well, that's what we're coming to. These last 20 laps, can Christopher Bell get his car to do what it was doing? He just ran the fastest lap on the racetrack that time. Can he find a way to do that? If he can, I'm telling you, he was 3 to 4 tenths a lap faster than the field at the end of that run. If he can find that magic, he can win this race.
Well, I'm going to tell you, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., I think it's close enough to the 18 to now get that draft we talked about, Rick. It's not great. It's 20 car lengths, but I think the toe exists. He's going to start to get an advantage down the straightaways.
That last lap, these three drivers ran within 6/100ths of a second of each other as far as lap time. That's how good each one of these drivers are right now, running almost identical lap times.
And you wonder if Kyle Busch jinxed himself when he talked about how good the lap cars had been. Right? Like one lap car, he catches that guy wrong, and Martin Truex Jr. will be all over him.
Have to save a tiny bit to it.
Save a tiny bit. Now he's hearing that once again. Marty.
Yeah, Adam Stevens continuing to say that. They're kind of telling him to go, Jeff, and then simultaneously they're saying, hey, if you can save us a little bit, that would help as well. Adam Stevens told him 2 laps ago, no matter what, 10 to go, we're going to hit our switch and just get what we can get out of it. I'm not sure they're convinced Kyle can make it to the end. I'm not sure anyone knows if Kyle Busch can make it to the end. I tell you what, his teammate Martin Truex Jr. is hoping he can't, because that would really change the playoff picture for Truex if he walks away with Texas with a win.
Jeff, as I run through the Rolodex in my brain, I'm struggling to remember a fuel mileage win for Kyle Busch. He is normally just dominant, just fast, just pits, puts 4 tires on, and outruns you, right? He's Jimmy Johnson-esque. That's what Jimmy did through the 2000s, is he just beat you with the faster race car. Well, when you got into the 10s, you know, Kyle Busch just said, hey, bring your best, I'll bring my best, and I'll see you at the start-finish line, and that's how he won races. Now we're seeing a veteran, a 2-time champ in a disappointing season, finding or maybe proving he has a skill set we haven't needed to see. We're going to see how good he can be at fuel management and pace at the same time.
It's so much information that he needs, right? And Marty's talked about it multiple times, how Adam Stevens has just been feeding him that information for the last really over 100 laps, what he needs to do to get the fuel mileage to put himself in position to win this race. And they're sitting right there.
7 laps. It's 7 laps difference from the time that Kyle Busch was on pit road and Martin Truex Jr. was on pit road. So does that mean that Kyle Busch really had to save about 7 laps in that first part of the run so that he could get to this point where he can race Martin Truex Jr.?
He ran 67 laps with 5 yellows. If you use a simple correction, like a 2.5 correction, that means he ran, call it 64.5 green flag, 65 green flag laps earlier. When he pitted at lap 268, he needs to go 66. So he ran 60.
Keep saving, we're right at it.
He ran 64.5 earlier by my math with all of the stuff that nobody cares about. Now he needs to run 66. That's a lap and a half he has to find on this run, Jeff.
Well, he's going to have to lap Kevin Harvick. And Kevin Harvick, it would be interesting to see what kind of fight Kevin can put up. But you know that Kevin Harvick is not accustomed to being lapped. See if Kevin Harvick slows Kyle Busch up at all.
My question is, not to sound ugly, but if you're Kevin Harvick, if I am Rodney Childers, I'm saying, do not hold up that 18. Do not let the 19 win this race. Wave them by. I don't care what you do. We are the 18's best friends right now. Get out of the way.
Yeah, you don't want Martin Truex Jr. to win this race. That puts a lot of pressure, way more pressure on the 4-car going to Martinsville.
And to Phoenix.
So we'll see how difficult it will be for the 18 to get by the 4.
You can try to co-off you.
Yeah, I think Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick are perfectly happy where they're at because Kyle wants to draft off the 4 as much as he can because Adam Stevens said, we are right on our number. I still need a little bit more, 12 to go.
Save some here, behind the 4, 1.3, not gaining.
There's so much that goes into winning a race.
We're going to wait till 5. Save me some fuel here. 1.15.
That's the interval back. That's the interval that he's given back to Martin Truex Jr. He's telling Kyle Busch how many seconds Martin Truex Jr. is behind him. That's all that matters right now.
You're in a 25 last time. 1.1.
Under 9 laps to go. Does he have enough fuel?
I think I like what Kyle Busch is doing right here. It's time to go. I towed as long as I could, but I feel like the 19's getting closer because there he is in my mirror.
Marty.
Yeah, remember they told him to flip that switch at 10 to go, Steve. Adam Stevens, as he was coming to 10 to go, said, don't flip it, don't flip it. Wait till 5 to go. I think we're okay. And then you heard Kyle say, I don't want to ride behind the 4 much longer. The 19's getting too close. So he went by the 4. Simultaneously, I think the 4 moved out of the way and said, I'm not helping you anymore because that's helping might help the 19.
Remember how the 19 lost the lead earlier. They ran out of gas and he flipped the switch. That's why they're talking about this. You know, you worry about that switch because if it hits it, you know you're 1 lap away from running out of gas. You come to pit road. The 18 car doesn't care about 3rd. They don't care about 5th. They're going to win the race. Flip the switch, and if this thing runs out of gas, so be it. But we're not going to lose this race by a simple stumble in the engine.
And that pickup, it's just in a different location, but it's where all the fuel will end up.
Yeah, it's just a box in a corner that has perhaps 1 lap more fuel inside of the fuel cell.
Truex got held up a little bit that lap, about 0.3 of a second. So that allows Kyle Busch even a little more opportunity to save some fuel.
I'm nervous. I mean, this is
Get all the
6
fuel you
laps.
can.
People ask me all the time, what do you miss about racing this? You see Adam Stevens? He is completely absorbed in this right here. Data, left and right. Giving him the information.
Clear high. Use it. Pull into 66. 4 now. 12 back. 5 to go here. 5. 7 here will be second then.
Every time on the front stretch, I expect to hear something out of
Use
Adam
the 7.
Stevens.
Use them. All the way down the back here. Use the pull on them. And then it'll be second. By 12.
That's your spotter information. Off turn 4, I expect to hear something out of Adam Stevens. Some more information.
It's Tony Hirschman, his spotter.
I don't know if you want to switch then.
Gap's getting bigger, not smaller. 1.3. Lift it 2 and save a little.
There you go. Gap's getting bigger. you're faster than the 19. 1.3 seconds, 4 to go.
Kyle Busch, when we talked to him toward the end of the regular season, he said, yeah, making the playoffs, it's big, but not nearly as big as the win streak I have going. I have a win streak that I have invested 16 years of my career in.
You're in a 60. Save when you can.
I want to win. That's what I want to do more than anything. I want to be able to say I've won every year of my career. Now the gap, 1.2 seconds back. To get into the championship for the 19. Martin Truex Jr. has to win, has to get by his teammate. 2 laps to go at Texas.
1.0, saving what you can.
Gap still asking for fuel savings. 2 laps to go. Under 3 miles now for the 18 of Kyle Busch.
It's all about fuel mileage, Steve. It's just all about fuel mileage. Manage your fuel. He cannot get there. He cannot get to you if you don't run out of fuel.
Remember Saturday in the Xfinity Series, it was a last lap pass for the win.
Use what you can. Then 13 to be
1 lap to go. Presented by Credit One Bank. One more time around. Can Kyle Busch finally get off his winless streak? The last win Kyle Busch had was when he won the championship at the end of the year.
6. So good, 6.
Did he save enough fuel? Through 3 and 4 for the final time, down to the bottom of the racetrack. He has done it. He saved enough fuel. Kyle Busch wins at Texas.
That was fun. I'm not sure yet. Great job, though, man. Proud of you. Proud of you guys.
Adam Stevens was that's the look of relief, right? Tough year for. He's a really good crew chief. Won a lot of races. Just feels great to get that win.
And you know, Jeff, a lot of whispers, right? If they go winless, what happens to this group? What happens to this pairing? Well, this is as good as I've seen a race managed.
Thank you. That means.
There you go, Kyle Busch, thank you. This win, you said it, Rick. He just wanted to continue the streak. You can't go back and start over. 15 years.
And he's got enough fuel to do a burnout. The driver that has so much familiarity with victory lane. He's still 10th all time on the wins list at 57 career wins in the Cup Series. But this one may be more sweeter than the most. It had been a struggle all season long, especially after the pandemic break. They had talked about this team always got better from practice and then on to the race. Well, when you eliminate practice and you start at a certain point, they said they just always felt like they were behind and never could catch up during the race. Well, this time they had a great car. They saved the fuel they needed. He's got an M&M's fan there. And a checkered flag again for Kyle Busch. The bow. Helmets coming off. Let's go to Parker.
Well, I think we're all waiting for the bow. Where's the bow?
I forgot. It's been a really long time.
It's been a while? We'll give you a second. There it is. Kyle, I want to ask you about that last run, trying to balance fuel saving with Martin Truex Jr. coming at you. How did you do that?
I don't know. Just kept getting great great leadership and mentoring from Adam and from Tony. And those guys just keep talking to me, keep reminding me about saving and being able to do what I could, trying to stay in the draft as much as I could on the straightaways. And, you know, it ran out coming right in here to do a burnout. So I had enough to get a little bit of a burnout. I don't know if I'll make it back, but I can't say enough about Adam Stevens and everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing. I appreciate all your hard work. Everybody at Toyota TRD. This Skittle zombie machine looks bad to the bone. It's really, really awesome. And I had to do a zombie remake here. This is what we've all looked like around here for the last 3 days, right? Yeah. Everybody just zombied into their phone. So I wasn't planning on that, but it kind of worked with this weekend, but more so in the times. This is going for auction. People can buy their tickets to win raffle, $18 a piece at bundleofjoyfund.org. or go to kylebusch.com.
Let me ask you, you've won a race for the last 15 seasons. You said it was a 16-year investment. If you didn't get one this year, you finally got it.
Yeah, we got it. And I was so nervous I was nervous a little bit like the whole last run, but I've been in this position so many times. It's like the last 3 laps, though, that's like winning a championship. That's how nervous it was. And I can't believe it, but so proud to just be here. My team guys, awesome pit stops. They're phenomenal. Appreciate M&M's, Interstate Batteries, Rowdy Energy Drink, and you know, we're ready to fight next year. We'll be back.
It's your 57th win of your career. Does this one mean a lot, knowing how late it came, trying to get that investment?
Yes and no. I mean, they all mean a lot, right? There's certain circumstances and certain specialties to all of them, but this one means a lot just to keep the 16 going, obviously. We're out of the playoffs. We had nothing to shoot for. Everybody thought we were duds, and we don't ever give up.
That's a pretty excited Kyle Busch down here, guys, getting that win.
You don't see a lot of emotion out of Kyle Busch normally. He wins so often, or he used to win so often. He was so familiar with finding victory lane. But big smiles there for Kyle Busch in getting this win.
I tell you what resonated right there, a man that's won 2 championships, who has broken both legs in a race car, who's won all the big races, who has 57 wins at this level. For him to say those last 3 were as nervous as a championship, those last 3 laps. I mean, think about that. This is a guy who's guessing what it was like. He's won 2 championships. That tells you what, you know, the third from last race in a season can mean to a veteran without a championship hope. It was all about continuing his his winning streak, Jeff.
Yeah, listen, Kyle Busch right there, you know, showed the emotion and how much winning means to him. And listen to this. This is who he joined with 16 straight years of the win. Richard Petty, David Pearson, Jimmy Johnson, Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd. That's a who's who of NASCAR, right? To join that list, that's just an incredible accomplishment. And you know, listen, Kyle Busch said everybody thought they were duds. No one thinks Kyle Busch and Adam Stevens are going to give up, right? Those guys are going to bring it every single week. They just have not had the performance, but it's not been from a lack of effort.
And Kyle Busch will be headed to SpeedyCash.com victory lane after winning here at Texas. And for Kyle Busch, pretty impressive. His 16th straight season with a win and a 4th win here at Texas. He saved enough fuel. That was exactly the plan he had to go with. Executed it perfectly. Said he ran out of gas just as he was about to do the burnout. And a Kyle Busch fan gets to celebrate with him here. The bow, it stays with him.